WordPress website using the free storefront theme by Woo Themes. So I've received quite a few requests specifically related to the storefront theme, so thank you all for the great suggestion. If you requested a tutorial related to the storefront theme specifically, this video is for you. So let's go ahead and take a quick tour around the e-commerce WordPress website we'll be creating in this video. So here on the homepage of the e-commerce WordPress website we'll be creating in this video using the storefront theme. At the top, we'll be adding an email opt-in form so you can start capturing leads directly from within your website and homepage. And then underneath the email opt-in form, we'll have our header section, which includes the standard header details like the title or the logo, menu navigation items, and a search box. And in this particular theme, we'll also be adding some e-commerce features such as the shopping cart and items in the cart. Underneath the header section, then we'll have our tagline, and this will give your visitors a really quick and easy way to understand exactly what your website is about when they land on the homepage of your site. And then underneath the tagline, we'll have the various homepage sections, including the product categories, featured products, and on-sale items. Now, it's important to note that this particular theme is fully customizable on the homepage, so you can add other sections if you'd like, and I'll show you in this video tutorial how to add other sections as well. At the bottom, we'll have our footer section, and this also has customizable content. In this particular demo, I'll be including a variety of links, some social network icons so anyone can easily connect with me on the social web, and a search box so that my visitors can easily find whatever they're looking for on my website. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the internal pages of the site, starting with the About page. The About page across the board is one of the most trafficked and visited sites on any website, so it's important to spend a little time creating a good About page. Here I'll show you how to add some text and an image on the About page, and that's pretty much all I've added here, but I do want to just point out that this is a really important page because, again, this particular page, data shows, is the most frequently looked at page on pretty much every website. Okay, moving on, we have our blog page. This is a standard blog archive page with all the blog posts showing up one by one on top of one another. And when we click on the blog post, single blog post, here we'll see at the top the published date, the author, the title, followed by an image if you include an image on your blog posts. On the left-hand side, we'll have some links related to comments, and then we'll have the actual blog post itself. Followed by, at the bottom, we're going to add an email opt-in form because most likely if someone's made it to the bottom of your blog post, they are interested in other information you have to share, and this is a really good opportunity to capture their email so you can start communicating with your visitors directly via email. Underneath the email opt-in form, here we'll have our social sharing features so anyone can easily share your wonderful content across the social web, either to Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or some other social network. Okay, then last but not least, we'll have our comment section so anyone can leave a comment on your blog post. Okay, note that on the right-hand side, this is also customizable content here. We have our sidebar. I'm going to be keeping it really simple in this demo, and I'm just going to be adding a search box. Once again, that awesome email opt-in form, and then I'll also be adding some social network icons. This is customizable. I'll show you how to add other content if you choose to add other content as well. Okay, last but not least, we have 2 more pages to go. I'm going to be creating a free recipes page. Of course, you can create any page you like, but this one I've added a sort of pseudo landing page. It's not really a landing page because a real landing page would not have any of this header section stuff. But I have the call to action here, which is get your free recipes, followed by an image. This is rather large. I should probably reduce the size of this giant image. But I do want to point out, most importantly, we have the 3 reasons why someone should sign up for my email opt-in form. And then, here we go, voila, we have the email opt-in form down below, so you can once again capture leads directly from within your website. Okay, last but not least, our contact form. This will give your visitors an easy way to contact you directly from within your website. It's a form, so you have your name, your email, subject, and message, and then they click on this button that says send, and then you receive their email message. Okay, going back to the home page, I want to point out that this is a responsive, mobile-friendly website, which is really important these days because we're all looking at websites on our mobile devices, our phones and tablets, and all other kinds, maybe even watches now these days. So good news, this is a fully responsive theme, which means that it will resize depending on what kind of screen size someone is viewing your website on. So as a quick demo of the responsiveness of this particular theme, when I take the bottom right-hand corner and I reduce it by moving it to the left-hand side. Now we can see everything stacks up really nicely. The drop-down menu is now, or the menu I should say, is now drop-down menu, so it's really easy to view. And all the other content is also stacking really nicely on the page, one on top of the other. So that's what we refer to as a responsive website. It responds to the size of your screen. So you're good to go in terms of mobile friendliness with the storefront theme by WooThemes. So this is where we're headed toward in this video. We're going to be creating an e-commerce WordPress website using the storefront theme by WooThemes. Let's get started. So before we get started, how much is this website going to cost? Well, we need several things. Number one, we need a domain name and we need web hosting. In this video tutorial, I'm going to be using HostGator.com for both the domain name as well as the web hosting. And I'm also going to be using a special coupon to get an extra amount off of my order at HostGator. That web hosting coupon is WP Coupon 25 when I sign up for 6 months or more of web hosting. Or you can use the other coupon code 1 month bonus if you simply want to sign up for month-to-month web hosting at HostGator.com. So if you decide to go with HostGator and you'd like to get some extra discount off your order, be sure to use either WP Coupon 25 or the 1 month bonus coupon to get an extra amount off of your order. I do want to note I do receive a small referral from HostGator when you use either of my coupons, so thank you in advance for your support in helping me to continue to create these free WordPress training videos. Once you have your web hosting as well as the domain name, the next thing we'll need is a theme. And in this video tutorial, I'm going to be using the storefront WooThemes free WordPress website theme. And last but not least, once we have the domain name, web hosting, and the theme, the other thing that we're going to need to create this beautiful WordPress website is some time. So I'm estimating it should take roughly about 2 hours to go through the video. So please set aside about 2 hours to watch the video and to go through the steps to build out your website. So in sum, the total to get started to build this beautiful e-commerce WordPress website is less than $25, again, using either coupon code WP Coupon 25 when you sign up for 6 months or more of web hosting at HostGator.com, or using the 1 month bonus coupon code when you sign up for month-to-month web hosting at HostGator.com. Okay, so what are the steps to build out this website? Well, there's 3 steps. Number 1, we need to get our domain name as well as web hosting at HostGator. Number 2, we want to install WordPress. And then number 3, we want to build out the website. So let's go ahead and take care of step number 1, which is getting the domain name and the web hosting by heading over to HostGator.com. Here on HostGator.com, the first step is to get started now by clicking on this button that says Get Started Now, and that will bring us to the variety of different web hosting plans we can choose from. There's 3 different plans, the Hatchling Plan, Baby Plan, and the Business Plan. If you're just getting started with your website, most likely either the Hatchling Plan or the Baby Plan would be a good fit for you. The main difference between these two is that with the Hatchling Plan, you can only host 1 single website domain, whereas with the Baby Plan, you can host an unlimited number of domains. I prefer the Baby Plan, so I'm just going to go with that, but if you know you only have 1 website domain to host, then you can save some money by going with the Hatchling Plan. So I'm going to click on Sign Up Now under the Baby Plan, and then I'm going to add my new domain right here. If you already own a domain, you can click on this tab right here. I'm going to register a new domain, and for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to put something super random in there just so that it's available. And then, of course, it's available because it's such a random name here. So I'm just going to go with that. Then I'm going to scroll down. Here you can choose your hosting plan. As noted, I chose the Baby Plan, and there's a number of different billing cycles you can choose from. The more months you sign up for, the more of a discount you will receive. So I'm going to sign up for 6 months to get started, and then you want to add your username and a security PIN. Scroll down. You want to enter your billing info, and then here by default a number of additional services are usually added here on this screen. I'm going to uncheck these and come back to these in just a moment. I usually don't use any of these, but I do want to make a special mention about the domain privacy protection because I really like that feature. Okay, then I'm just going to scroll down. Here we have the coupon code. By default, you will receive the 20% off, but I have a better coupon to share with you. So if you'd like more off your order, then you can use the exclusive coupon I have called WP Coupon 25, and here we can see it's originally $60, and when we use this coupon, WP Coupon 25, and validate it, we can see now we've saved a little bit extra of a discount off of our order, and now it's $54. Of course, this is getting started with a 6-month plan. If you want to go month to month instead, you can use a different coupon code. So I'm just going to scroll up here and show you that you can really start this website for pretty much less than $15 if you want to just get started. So when I go with 1 month at a time with Baby Plan, then I scroll down right here, and then I use a different coupon code. The coupon code is 1 month bonus, and then I click on validate. Here we can see that we can get our website up and running for less than $13, which is pretty amazing. So whether you use WP Coupon 25 when you're signing up for 6 months or more, or you use the 1 month bonus when you're signing up for web hosting month by month, either one will give you an extra discount off of your order. Now, going back to the domain privacy protection here, I always do like to get this, because here's the thing: if you don't get this, then all of your details that you put up here, like your email, your name, your address, your phone number, some of this info is going to be included in a public database. It's available to pretty much anyone on the web, and I prefer to keep all of this information private so that my phone number and my address and things like that are not on the internet. So for that reason, I always invest in the domain privacy protection for $10, just under $10 a year. So I'm going to add that right here, and that's going to make our order go up just a little bit, but it's still under $25, which is pretty awesome. So you just want to review the details of your order right here. Then you want to scroll down, click on this box right here that says you have read and agreed to the terms of service. And then you want to click on this button to check out now. So once you click on create your account, you'll get this page, which will thank you for your order and will tell you to go check your email for information related to logging into your web hosting account. So I'm going to go check out my email. And here we see on my email account, here's the email from HostGator with my account info. So I'm going to click this email to open it, and I want to point out 2 things. Number 1, the first link that they'll share with you in the email is the billing system link. So if you want to check out any info related to your billing, you can go ahead and click on this link and use the password that they give you. And then right below that, you'll see that there's a link for your control panel with your username and a temporary password. So I'm going to copy this password here, the temporary password, and to log into your control panel, you'll use this link. So this is a really good email to keep in a safe place for future reference, because you will be needing this information as well as the link to the control panel to log into your HostGator web hosting account. So I'm going to click on this link here, and then here is my username. You want to type in your username here that was found in the email, and then you want to add your password right here as well. Once you have that set up, you want to click on login to log into the control panel of your web hosting account. So here we are on the HostGator control panel. The next step that we want to do is step number 2. We want to install WordPress. And thankfully with HostGator, there's a really easy way to install WordPress using their simple wizard script. So I am going to scroll down to where that is located. You want to scroll down to where it says software and services, and you want to find this icon that says quick install. So this is what we're going to use to install WordPress really easily in HostGator. We're going to use this quick install link, so I'm going to click on that. And once I click on that, you'll note that there's all these different kinds of software listed here on the left-hand sidebar. So right at the top, you'll note that it says blog software, and there's a link here for WordPress. This is what we want to install, so I'm going to click on that. Then we arrive on this page, and we can see at the time of this recording, the most recent version of WordPress is version 4.0.1. Okay, so I'm just going to continue by clicking on this button here that says continue. And here you'll get a panel where you can decide which domain to install WordPress to. So I'm going to add the domain name where I want to install WordPress, and then I'm going to fill out this information below, starting with the admin email. So I'm going to add my admin email right there. Next, you want to give your new website a title, so I'll just call this the name of my domain. And then also you want to add an admin username. Now note that this is an important step for website security. You want to make sure that you do not use an admin that is something like admin, support, or administration. These three names, admin, support, and administration, those are the first names that hackers will try when they're attempting to break into your WordPress website. So it's important that you use an admin username that is more unique than admin. So for this instance, I'm just going to add my name right here. You can also add your first name and last name. I'm going to leave that empty, and instead I'm just going to click on Install to install WordPress. Okay, congratulations, your installation is ready. So you can access the installation of your new website by clicking on this link here. And also note that here is the admin area login URL that you'll use in the future to access the login panel. To access your website in the future, you want to make a note of this link here. It's usually your domain name followed by wp-admin. So that's an important link to remember as well, so that going forward you can easily log into your WordPress website. Also make a note of your username and password. This is what you will also need, of course, to log into your website when you click on this link. So I'm just going to highlight this temporary password here and copy it. And then I'm going to click on this link here to log into my new WordPress website. So here we are on the login screen of our WordPress website. To log in, you want to enter your username in the username field and your password in the password field. And then you want to click on this button that says Remember Me, so that the next time you come to WordPress, your username and password will be remembered. In the event that you forget your password in the future, or perhaps even now, you want to click on this link here that says Lost Your Password, and WordPress will send you a password reset to the email that you used when you were creating your WordPress website. So for the moment, here I have my username and password. I'm going to go ahead and click on the login button to log in to the WordPress website. So when you first log into your WordPress website, you'll see the dashboard. This is your at-a-glance view of what's happening on your website. You can see all of the different stats for your website so far. So we see when we install WordPress, we have one post, one comment, and one page that comes with our WordPress installation. Also note that if you've just installed WordPress, you'll also see this message right here that says Welcome to WordPress, with a number of links to get you started. I'm going to be covering each of these links later on in the video, so I'm not going to be looking at these right now. Instead, I'm just going to turn this section off altogether by going up to the top right-hand corner here and clicking on Dismiss. You can easily see that view again if you want to see that welcome message once you've dismissed it. You can see it by clicking on Screen Options. Then you'll see here it is right here, Welcome, and when you click on that box, it reappears. So these particular boxes at the top will determine what sections are viewable on your dashboard. So I'm just going to collapse the screen options by clicking on screen options one more time. And I also want to note that you can customize your dashboard if you like by simply moving these sections around. So if you prefer to see the drafts here on the top left-hand side, just drag it to the left. Okay, so once we take a look at the dashboard, let's take a look at what our WordPress website looks like right out of the box when you first install WordPress. So to view your site, you're going to go up to the top, hover over the website name, the top left-hand corner, and then click on Visit Site. So here we are on the homepage of our WordPress website using WordPress version 4.1 and the built-in theme that comes with your WordPress installation called 2015. This is a beautiful blogging style theme, and in another video I showed you step-by-step from scratch how to completely customize and set up this beautiful blogging style theme called 2015. So if you'd like to check out the other video, I'll be sure to drop a link down below so you can check it out. In this video, however, we're going to be creating an e-commerce WordPress website using the beautiful storefront theme by Woo Themes. So this is a look of where we're headed in this video. By the time we're finished with this video, we're going to have a complete e-commerce WordPress website set up using the beautiful Woo Themes theme called Storefront. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do going back to our website is we need to install the storefront theme. So going back to the dashboard, I'm going to hover over the website name in the top left-hand corner and click on Dashboard. Then I'm going to scroll down to where it says Appearance, hover over Appearance, and click on Themes. Here we'll see the theme that is currently active is the 2015 theme, and when we installed WordPress, it also came with the 2014 theme as well. I also have another video on this particular theme if you'd like to see how this one is set up for 2014. To move forward with Storefront, however, we need to install a new theme, so I'm going to click on Add New here at the top. And then I'm going to do a search for Storefront by coming over here to the search box and typing in Storefront. Here we can see it's the first one on the left-hand side that pops up. You can view the details by clicking on Details and Preview, and you can see here on the left-hand side it says Storefront by Woo Themes, and there's a preview here on the right-hand side. Of course, it won't look anything like this. This is not really set up. It's kind of a preview, but not really. What it really looks like is this thumbnail version right here on the left-hand side. So this is the theme we want to install. I'm going to click on Install at the top to install the Storefront theme. Once a theme has been installed, I'm going to activate it by clicking on Activate. Once the Storefront theme has been activated, you'll have a message here that says New Theme is activated, and you'll see it right here where it says Active Storefront. And you'll also see a message at the top that says Thanks for choosing Storefront. You can read hints and tips on how to get the most out of your new theme on the welcome screen. So you can either click on this link here that says Welcome Screen, or you can click on this link here that says Get Started with Storefront. I'm going to click on this button here that says Get Started with Storefront, and here you can read a little bit more about Storefront at the top, and then I'm just going to scroll down. You can see here's a number of different plugins that we need to install in order to make this work, starting with WooCommerce. So we can see the first step is we need to install WooCommerce. So I'm going to click on this link right here that says Install WooCommerce. Once WooCommerce has been successfully installed, we can activate it by clicking on Activate Plugin. And then once WooCommerce has been installed and activated, we'll have another button here that says Install the WooCommerce Pages. So I'm going to click on this button right here that says Install WooCommerce Pages. Once you click on Install WooCommerce Pages, you'll arrive on this page that says Welcome to WooCommerce 2.2. Okay, you can read more about WooCommerce on this page. Instead, I'm going to go straight to the settings by clicking on this link here that says Settings. You can also find WooCommerce settings by going to the left-hand sidebar, hovering over WooCommerce, and clicking on Settings in the submenu right here. I'm going to click on Settings right here to go to Settings. And here we see at the top we'll have our general options with the base location. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set your base location. I'm going to set mine as the US, so I'm going to scroll down here. I'm in California, so I'm going to use California. I want to sell to all countries, so I'll leave it set as this. I want to note that it's really cool with WooCommerce because if you have any questions about what each of these are about, you can simply click on the question mark here. When you hover over the question mark, you'll get a little tooltip and it will say exactly what it does. So for example, with base location, when I hover over the question mark, it says this is the base location for your business. Tax rates will be based on this country. So go ahead and click on these question marks to find out what each of these different items refer to. Okay, I'm scrolling down here. The other thing I want to change is my currency option. The default currency is set to pounds sterling, but I want to change that to US dollars. So I'm just going to scroll down here and click on US dollars. And then everything else looks good. I'm just going to come to the bottom and click on Save Changes to save my changes. Once our settings have been saved, we see that there's a number of other tabs related to WooCommerce that we also need to configure, and I'll be doing that later on in this video. There's also a great resource related to everything WooCommerce directly on the Woo Themes site, and I'll be sure to drop a link down below so you can check out all of the Woo Themes documentation at woothemes.com. Hopping back to our storefront website, the next step is I want to start adding the different sections on our homepage so that we can start creating our homepage so that it will look something like this. So we can see here at the top we have our logo or our title and tagline, and we have our menu items as well as some pages. So next up, let's add our logo as well as add some pages so we can set up this header section with the menu navigation items. To set up the logo, we want to go back to our website. We want to go to the dashboard, so make sure that you're on the dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. And then we want to scroll down to where it says Appearance, hover over Appearance, and click on Customize. Here on the Customize panel, there's a number of options on the left-hand side that you can adjust and change in order to change the appearance of your WordPress website. On the right-hand side, you'll see a preview panel of what those changes are looking like in real time. So starting at the top, we have our site title and the tagline. I'm going to click on this caret right here, and here we can see, as it says, you can add your site title or your tagline. I'm going to drop in a tagline right there by just posting a tagline right here. Now, not all changes are going to be completely showing up here because we see that I've added the tagline and it's not showing up. But rest assured that on the front website, when we take a look at it in a moment, it will be appearing. Okay, so next we can just click on Save and Publish to save that change. Then I'm going to move on to the background, so I'll just close this box right here and open up the next box. This background image refers to the overall website. So if you'd like to add an image on top of the website here, you can do so. I'm going to keep mine simple, so I'm just going to create a white background color so that it makes the font and the text really easy to read. Sometimes with background images, it just makes it hard to read the text, so that is something to keep in mind when you are thinking about whether or not to use a background image. For the background color, I'm going to click on Select Color right here. We can see by default there's a kind of off-white color right here. So I want to keep this really clean, very clean and white look. So I'm going to use totally white right here by clicking on this white box, and here we can see the color code changes in this box right here. If you'd like to add a different color for the background, you can just slide this little cursor around right here, and you can see as I do so in real time the background is changing. Once again, just keep in mind that you want to make sure that the words are easy to read, and for most websites that means pretty much a white background or something close to a white background. Okay, so I have my background set. Once again, I'm going to click on Save and Publish to save that change. And then moving on to the header section right here, this is where you can drop a header image or background color to the top section of your website. So everything here that we currently see in this kind of gray-black color, you can add either a background image or a color. So for example, if you do decide to use a header image, you want to make sure that the dimensions are 1950 pixels wide and 250 pixels tall, as it says right here in this note. I'm not going to add an image across the entire front section. Instead, in one moment, I'm going to be adding a logo, but right now I do want to change this background color to be simply white. So to make the background color white, I'm just going to click on this button here that says Select Color, go to the bottom right here, click on the white color, and then we can see the entire top section has now turned to white. Then I'm just going to scroll down. I'm going to keep the text color as it is right here. We can change that later if we want to. And for the link color, because now we can see I cannot see the links, white on white does not work very well. I'm just going to change the link color by clicking on Select Color, and then you can change it to anything you'd like. So for the moment, I'll just put in this kind of gray color right here. You can change it to any color you'd like, once again, by just clicking in this area right here to find the link color that you'd like to have displayed on your site. So I may come back to this later, but for the moment, I'm just going to make it this gray on white color, and then I'm going to click on Save and Publish up above to save that change. Next, moving on to the footer, I'm going to click on the footer right here. We can see by default there's this gray and this purple color. When I scroll to the bottom, we can see how that is lining up. So we see that the link color is purple, the text color is gray, and then it's kind of like this background color of another shade of gray. So jumping over to our finished site here, when I scroll to the bottom, this is where we're headed toward. I'm going to be creating this kind of like teal green kind of background with white print, and then the actual link color is kind of just like a grayish white color as well. So to make the changes so that it looks like this, you can just go ahead, go back to your panel right here for the footer. You want to change the heading color, so I'm just going to click on Select Color, choose whatever color that you'd like. I'm going to choose white. Then I'm going to scroll down for the text color. I want this text color to also be white, so I'm going to click on white. Once again, if you want to change it to another color, go ahead and do so by clicking on these buttons right here. I'll just leave it as white. For the link color, I'm going to click on Select Color once again, and I think I'll choose a shade of gray right here. So I'll just pop in a color here to add it kind of a gray color. And then for the background color, I'm going to click on Select Color, and once again I'm going to choose the green color that I'd like to have displayed down below. So now we can see when I pop that color in, it turns into this kind of teal green color, which matches the color that I'm going for on the finished site right here. Okay, so once you add all of the different footer colors and heading colors and all these different elements here within the footer, you just want to click on Save and Publish to save the changes for the footer. Next up, we have the typography. If you'd like to change the colors of your typography, the link color, text color, or heading color, you can do so here. So starting with the link color, I'm going to click on Select Color. I'm going to choose the color that I'd like to have displayed instead, and then once again we can see in the preview panel immediately how that change looks like in real time. Then I'm going to scroll down and change the text color and the heading color. And once you have those changes set, go ahead and click on Save and Publish once again, and then we'll move on to the buttons once again by clicking on this caret right here. In this screen, you can customize the look and feel of your website buttons. So for background color, I'm going to make it an orange color. That will go well with my teal color right here. Then for text color, I'll keep it as white. That looks good. The alternate button color, you can add an alternate button color if you'd like as well. I'm just going to keep mine the same though to keep it consistent. So I'll just keep it as orange. And then once again, if you want to add an alternate button text color, you can do so right here. I'll leave it as white. Finally, I'm going to click on Save and Publish to save those changes. I like to save my changes as I go so that in the event anything happens, I've at least saved my most recent change that I've made so I don't have to do it all over again. Okay, the layout, I'm going to click on this here. If you want to have a left sidebar, you can click on this one right here. I'm going to keep it with a right sidebar, so I'll just leave it as it is. And then going on to widgets, this will open up your widget panel. I'm going to come back to this a little bit later in the video, so I'm not going to touch upon that right now. Instead, I'm just going to move forward and click on Static Front Page. Here on the panel for the static front page, we can see that our latest posts are being displayed on the home page. In this particular website, however, we want a static page, so I'm going to click on Static Page. The only catch is that we have not yet created any pages. So when I click on front page, for example, we have a really limited selection of pages and definitely not the page that we need or want. So we'll have to come back to this particular section later after we've created the pages that we need for our website. So for now, I'm just going to click on Save and Publish to save all of the changes we've made to this customizer panel right here, and we'll follow up once again a little bit later in the video with some of the other options that we will set and configure a little bit later. So for now, let's just close this by clicking on the X, and then I'm going to go back to the home page by clicking on my name right here to visit the site. And here we can see we've got some of the changes implemented, so that's looking a little bit better. We see we have our title and our tagline. Now note that if you'd like to include a logo instead of a title and a tagline, you can do so by activating the Jetpack plugin. So I would like to do that because when I go to my finished site over here, we can see that I have a logo instead of a title and a tagline. So to add a custom logo to your storefront WordPress website, we want to go back to the dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then I want to go down to Plugins, hover over Plugins, and click on Installed Plugins. You should already have your Jetpack plugin installed when you installed WordPress. This is a plugin that comes with your WordPress installation. But in the event that you don't see it here in the lineup, if you don't see Jetpack by WordPress.com, then you want to add it. So to add it, you just want to go to Add New underneath Plugins. So I'm going to click on Add New. Then you want to do a search for Jetpack over here on the right-hand side. You just want to click on Jetpack. And then here you'll see it'll say Jetpack by WordPress.com. You want to install and activate this plugin. Here we can see I've already installed it, so I'm good to go. So I'm just going to go back to my plugins over here where it says Installed Plugins. And we can see at the top that it says your Jetpack is almost ready, but in order to actually make this work and connect it, I need to connect it to WordPress.com. So here we see when you click on Connect with WordPress.com, it will send you to WordPress.com where you can create a website. However, of course, we don't need to create a website because we are already creating our self-hosted WordPress website, so we don't want to do that. All we need here is a WordPress.com account, a username, and a password. So to get to that page, I'm going to click on Login right here at the top to log in, and I already have a username and account. However, if you don't have one, at the bottom you'll see there's this link here that says Register. So I'm going to click on Register right here. Which brings us to the sign up page of WordPress.com. Now note that this particular section here is to once again create a free WordPress.com website, which we do not really need or want. So here in the fine print at the bottom, it says if you don't want a blog, you can sign up for just a username. So this is the actual link that we need. So I'm going to click on this fine print link at the bottom, sign up for just a username. And here you can create a username simply by filling in your email address, creating a username, creating a password, and then clicking on this button that says sign up. Once you've had that all set up and ready to go, once again, this is a free WordPress.com account, then you can go back to the Jetpack plugin. So I'm going to go back to my WordPress website once I've created my WordPress.com account. And then back on our website, when you click on this button once again, connect to WordPress.com, it will bring you to this page where you can connect your website with Jetpack and with WordPress.com. So fill in your username and password here, and then you want to click on this button that says Authorize Jetpack. Okay, you're fueled up and ready to go. Jetpack is now active. Now you can browse through each of the Jetpack features below to activate or deactivate those and to check them out. So there's lots of different features that are included within the Jetpack plugin. I'm going to show you some of the top ones that I usually install on every website. So when I go over to the left-hand side, I'm going to click on Settings, and here I often use Jetpack comments and Jetpack sharing features. So to find those, I'm just going to scroll down here and I'm going to look for Jetpack comments, which are right here. I'm just going to click on Activate to activate Jetpack comments. Once Jetpack comments are activated, the other icon or feature I should say that I like to use are the Jetpack sharing features. So here it says sharing. I'm going to click on Configure to configure the sharing features. This particular feature within Jetpack is really great because what this will do is it will give your visitors an easy way to share your content across the social web, either to Facebook, Twitter, or some other social network. Okay, so in order to activate this, I'm just going to drag the particular social networks that I want to have displayed here. So I want to enable anyone, for example, to be able to share to Facebook and to be able to share to Twitter, be able to share to Google+, and then you just want to choose any other social networks you'd like. If you'd like to add it in a more button over here, you can do so. So if I want to add Reddit, I'll add Reddit and Tumblr and perhaps Pinterest. I'll add those here. And then here we can see the live preview. We'll have 3 buttons right here, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and then the More tab. And when anyone hovers on top of this, it will give a drop-down box where these other 3 social networks will be displayed. Okay, then I just want to scroll down. I'll keep the button style as icon and text. It will look exactly like this right here. And I want to show these buttons on my posts. I don't like to put these sharing buttons on my pages because those are static pages. I prefer simply to keep my sharing features on my blog posts. So I'll leave it as that. You can add your Twitter site tag if you'd like right in here. And then I'm just going to click on Save Changes to save the changes. Once the settings have been saved, next up, let's add our custom logo to our WordPress website by going down to Appearance, hovering over Appearance, and once again clicking on Customize. Now, once we add the Jetpack plugin to our WordPress website and activate it, we can see that by default, the logo is now showing up right here, which is really great. So I'm just going to open up this panel, and here we can see we have a new feature that we can add, which is to add our custom logo. So I'm going to click on Add Logo right here. Then I'm going to choose Upload Files and select Files. And I'm going to choose the logo file image that I would like for my logo. So I'm just going to click on Logo right there and click on Open. And once the image has been uploaded to my WordPress website, it's always a good idea to give your image a title and an alternative text. So I'm going to add a logo title and a logo alternative text. And then I'm going to click on this button here that says Set as Logo. Okay, once the logo shows up here, you can click on Save and Publish to save this particular change. So once the change has been set, we can close this box by clicking on the X box right here, and then I'm going to go check out the site by clicking on Visit Site in the top left-hand corner. Now we can see here we have our logo as well as our website, our homepage right here. It's looking okay, slowly, step by step. So the next step is I want to change the menu items right here. We need to add some pages, and also I want to set these so that they're higher up on the page in the other menu navigation area right here, because when we look at the end result over here, we can see here I have my logo and my menu items lined up on the same line. So to set up the menu navigation area, the first step is we need to create some new pages for our WordPress website, starting with the About page. So to create a new page, you want to go back to your dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then here on the dashboard, the next step is to create a new page by either going up to the top, hovering over plus new and clicking on Page, or on the left-hand sidebar, you can hover over Pages and click on Add New. I'm going to click on Add New here to create a new page. And then here on the Add New Page screen, we can see that WordPress gives us a tooltip if we'd like to have distraction-free writing. We can go ahead and we can click on this button right here to have distraction-free writing mode. When I click on that, we can see that everything else disappears and I can just concentrate exactly on the content that I'm creating. I prefer to see everything, however, so I'm going to click on Dismiss, and then I'm going to go back to my regular screen right here, and at the top we want to give our new page a title. So because this is the About page, I'm just going to call it About, and then here in the visual view you can just start typing in any of the content that you'd like for this page. Now note that there's both a visual tab and a text tab. The difference between these two is that the visual tab is the what you see is what you get mode, whereas the text view will show you all of the behind the scenes code that WordPress is creating when you add your content. So for example, when I add some content right here, I'm just going to add some demo text right there. Here I am in the text view. When I go to visual view and then, for example, say I want to bold this, just like I would bold in a word processing document or an email, I'm just going to highlight it and click on the B here for bold. And here we can see visually that it bolds these two words. Now when I go to the text tab, we can see something a little bit different. Here we see the HTML code that WordPress is generating behind the scenes to generate the bold formatting. So the great thing about WordPress is that you don't need to know any code. You can simply type in the visual view and WordPress will take care of all of the code for you. If you'd like to learn some HTML though, this is a good way to learn it just by toggling back and forth, creating some content, formatting it, and then you can go to the text view and you can see what the HTML code is that corresponds with that particular formatting code. Okay, so going back to the text view right here, I have my text. Note that there should be two rows. There's just one row right here, but here when I hover over this particular icon, the toolbar toggle, I click on that, now I get a second row of formatting icons. So the great thing also with WordPress is you don't need to memorize all of these different icons. When you hover over them one by one, you'll get a tooltip that tells you exactly what each of these particular items will do. A very popular one that I use all the time is this one, insert or edit a link. So as a quick demo of that, if I wanted to create a link to Google, I would just create Google right here. Then I would simply highlight the word just like I would in an email or word processing document. Then I click on this link here, and then I would add where I want this to link to, google.com. You can also give it a title if you like. And because I'm going to be linking outside to an other page outside of my website, I always click on this button right here to open the link in a new window or a tab. Then you just want to click on this button here that says add a link. So that will basically give you a link that will link to Google. And you can do this for any other link, of course, as well. Okay, the other thing I want to add here on the Add About page is I want to add an image. So I want to place the cursor where I want the image to show up. Click on Add Media, then Upload Files, select Files. Then I want to select the file that I'd like and then click on Open to open this new image and upload this image to my WordPress website. Keeping in mind that once again, because we're uploading an image, it's always a good idea to add a title as well as an alternative text. Once you've added the title and the alternative text, you can scroll down and check out the attachment display settings, and here we can see you can align this particular image either to the left, center, or the right. I'm going to align it to the right, and also I'm going to link it to nothing. Here we see by default it is linking to the media file. I really don't want that, so I'm just going to click on None. And then finally at the bottom you can choose the size of the image that you'd like to have displayed. So I'm just going to choose the full size here. It's a rather small one, 300 by 300. We'll see how that looks. Then I'm going to click on Insert into Page to insert the image into the page. Then on the right-hand side, you can choose the page attributes. I'm going to keep this as the parent page because I don't want this will be the top level page, so that's a parent page. And for the template, I'm going to choose the full width template, so there's no sidebar. Then I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom here and everything else looks good. Then I'm just going to click on publish to publish my new page. Once a page has been published, you can check it out by clicking on this link that says View Page. But before we do that, I want to call to attention the permalinks right here. This is the actual URL, and we can see right now by default it is just a page ID number, which is not really helpful for people or for search engines like Google. So I want to change the permalinks by clicking on Change Permalinks. And here on the permalink settings page, we see we have a number of permalink setting options. So the one that I like to choose is the post name. So I'm going to click on post name. This gives it a really simple descriptive name, which gives everyone who's reading it an idea of what the page is about, including the search engines. So I'll just click on post name, scroll to the bottom here, leave everything else as it is, and then I'm going to click on Save Changes to save my changes. Once the permalink settings have been changed, I want to note one other thing. When we scroll down to the bottom here, we can see the product permalink base. Now this is related to permalinks for the WooCommerce pages. And here we can see the default is set to a question mark product equals sample product, which is okay, it's descriptive, but I prefer the more simplified view, which is simply product / sample product. So I'm going to choose this one right here. There's some other options. If you'd like to choose a shop base instead, you can do that right here. I'm just going to leave it as product and click on Save Changes to save my changes and set the permalinks. Okay, so once the permalinks have been set, we have a number of other pages that we need to create. So let's go about creating those other pages now. The next page that I want to create is a landing page for my free recipes. Since this is a blog, or I should say a website that deals with healthy juices and e-commerce for all of this healthy stuff, so I'm going to create a free recipes landing page, a blog page, and a contact page. So next up, let's create this free recipes page. Once again, I'm going to go back to my website, hover at the top over plus new, and click on page to create a new page. Next, as we did in the previous example, I'm going to give my new page a title. So I'll just pop in a title right there, and then I'll add some content here within the visual view. Once you've added the content within the visual view, the next step is to add an image, and as we did in the previous example, I'm going to place the cursor where I want the image to be displayed, go up to the top and click on Add Media to add new media. Then I'm going to choose the image that I'd like. Here I have it right here. If you'd like to upload a file, you can click on Upload Files, select your files, and then upload your file to the media library. I already have an image that I like, so I'm just going to go with this one right here. You want to make sure on the right hand side that you've added a title and alternative text. Those are two important fields within the attachment details. Then I'm going to scroll to the bottom, check out the attachment display settings. Here I want to align this in the center, so I'll leave it as center. I want this to link to nothing, so I'll just click on none, and then you want to choose the size of the image that you'd like to have displayed. So I'm going to go with the large image, so I'll just leave it as large, and then I'm going to click on Insert into Page to insert my image into the page. Once the image has been inserted, we can scroll down to the bottom and check that out. Everything else looks good to go. Here on the right-hand side, we have our page attributes. So for this particular page, I want this to be the top level page. So I'm going to keep it as no parent. So this will be the parent page. So just leave it as no parent. Then for the template, we have a few different options. We have the default template, which includes the right-hand sidebar. But for this particular page, I really don't want there to be a sidebar. So I'm just going to go with full width to remove the sidebar. Once you've set the template as you'd like to see it, then go to the right-hand side and click on Publish to publish your new page. Once a page has been published, the next step is to add our email opt-in form to the bottom of the page. So checking out our finished site over here, when I hop on over to the finished site, we see we have the title, our image, and our content, which includes 3 reasons why someone should sign up for my email list. So at the bottom, of course, I need to add an email opt-in form so anyone could sign up for my list. Now, in another video on my YouTube channel, I have walked you step by step from scratch, showing you how to set up the Magic Action Box plugin, which provides a really beautiful customized email opt-in form for your WordPress website. So I'll be sure to drop the link down below to that video. Be sure to check that out in order to set up your email opt-in form as well. Right now, behind the scenes, I'm going to be creating the email opt-in form following the steps in my previous video. So I just finished adding the email opt-in form to this page using the Magic Action Box plugin for WordPress following the video that I posted on my YouTube channel that walks you step by step from scratch, showing you all the things you need to do to set up, configure, and customize the Magic Action Box plugin. So now let's take a look at what this email opt-in form looks like on our page. So here I'm just going to click on View Page to view my page. And here we see at the top there's a lot of work here we need to do to clean all of this up. But when I scroll down a little bit, we see here's the beginning of my page with the page title, the image, and then my content, including the 3 reasons why someone should sign up for my email opt-in form. And then at the bottom, I have my email opt-in form, which looks really, really nice. So note the next step is here we have a comment that's popping up on our page, and I prefer to keep my comments and all the conversation on the blog, not on my pages. So next up, let's remove this comment here from our page. To remove this, I'm going to go up to the top, click on Edit Page. Then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the page, and we can see that there's no options here to remove the comment. So in order to find that, we need to go up to the top here where it says Screen Options. I'm going to click on Screen Options and then click on Discussion. And now when I go to the bottom of the page, here we can see the options that we can deselect to turn off the comments. So I'm going to uncheck both of these boxes to turn off comments and trackbacks on this page. Then I'm going to click on Update to update my page. Once a page has been updated, now we can check it out by clicking on View Page. So I'm going to click on View Page. And now when we scroll to the bottom of the page, we see the email opt-in form, but now the comments have been removed, which is exactly how I want it to be on my page. So next up, note that there's all of this stuff going on here. We have a couple other pages to add. Specifically, when I jump over to the finished site here, we see this is the finished site. I have a blog page and a contact page to add. So let's add those 2 pages, and then we will continue with cleaning up all of this top section here. So next up, let's add our blog page. To do that, I'm going to go back to the dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then once again in WordPress, you can create a page in a number of ways, either going up to the top, hovering over plus new and clicking on page, or on the left-hand sidebar, you can hover over Pages and click on Add New. I'm going to click on Add New here, and then for this page, once again, we need to give our page a title. So I'm going to give this a title of blog, since this will be the blog page. I'm going to leave everything else as it is, and then looking at the template here, we have a number of templates to choose from, but for the blog page, we simply need to leave it as the default template and then click on Publish. So creating the blog archive page is really simple. You just give it a title and then click on the Publish button. Once the blog archive page has been created, next up we need to create our contact page, because when I come over here, we see we have our blog page, our contact page. Our contact page will look like this. It'll be simply a form that anyone can fill out so they can contact you directly from within your website. So next up, let's add our contact page. To create a contact page, going back to our dashboard, once again, we can go up to the top, hover over plus new, and click on page. So I'm going to do that now. And then we want to give our new page a title. So this is the contact page. I'm going to call this Contact. And if you're using the Jetpack plugin, which we installed and activated earlier in this video, a really easy way to add a contact form is simply to click on this button here that says Add Contact Form. Then you'll see a number of standard fields, including name, email, website, and comment, and you can just add this to your website by clicking on this button here that says Add this form to my post or page. Once a contact form has been added to the page, you'll see the shortcode related to the contact form. Now, I like to add a sentence or two before the form that invites my visitors to fill out the form, so I'm just going to add a short sentence here. You can add whatever sentence you like, but to keep it simple right now, I'm just going to say, please contact us via the form below. Once you've added this to your page, you can go ahead and publish it by clicking on Publish. Once a contact form has been published, we can check it out by clicking on Visit Page. And here we see when we scroll down, we have our sentence, please contact us via the form below, and then we have the form. Also note, once again, we have these comments popping up, which I do not want, so I'm going to remove that once again by going to the top, clicking on Edit Page. Then on the top right-hand corner, I'm going to click on Screen Options, make sure Discussion is checked, and then at the bottom, I'm going to turn comments off by unchecking these two boxes. Once again, if someone's leaving me a comment, then really there's no need for a discussion on this page to begin with. Okay, so now I'm just going to come up to the top and click on Update to update my contact page. Once the contact page has been updated, we have one more page to add to our site, and that is the home page. So to create a home page, once again, I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to click on Add New. And then for the title, we need to give our new home page a title. Now, in this particular instance, we'll see when I jump over to the finished site, here is the title right here. So instead of using a title like home page, I am going to actually use the tagline for my website. So I'm just going to take this particular tagline, and then over here on my homepage, I'm going to give the homepage the title with the tagline, which gives everyone an idea what the website is about. Then on the right-hand side, I'm going to choose the template. In this particular case, we want to choose the homepage template. And then I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I want to turn off discussion and comments on this particular homepage. So I'm just going to uncheck those, scroll up to the top, and click on Publish to publish my new homepage. Now we're not exactly done with setting up the homepage. The next step is we need to create a static site, and the static site will be the homepage. So next up, let's customize our site by going to the left-hand side, hovering over Appearance and clicking on Customize. This is also where we can set up the header section so that it looks something like this over here with our finished site, with our header here at the top, and then of course we'll have our title of our home page. So going back to our site, I just clicked on Appearance Customize, which brings us to the Customize panel. And when I scroll down or go over here on the left-hand sidebar, I can find the part that says Static Front Page here at the bottom. We had talked about this earlier in the video. I had mentioned that I would come back to this. So here we are at the next stage of this particular setup for this website, which instead of having our latest post, we want to create a static page. So you want to make sure that you click on Static Page, and this time for the front page, we want to select the home page that we created, which is this one with the tagline. In my particular example, it's "We cold press healthy juices and deliver them to you daily." So I'm going to click on that for the front page. And the post page, of course, is the blog page that we created in the previous step. So I'm going to click on these two, and then I'm going to click on Save and Publish to save those changes. Now the other thing that we need to do is we need to change the navigation, because right now the navigation is kind of all over the board. So I'm going to click on the navigation. Let's see, I don't see it right here. So let's go to the dashboard to set up the navigation. I'm going to click on the X here, and then on the left hand side under Appearance, I'm going to hover over Appearance and click on Menus. Here on the Edit Menus screen, we can create a new menu by clicking on this link here that says Create a New Menu, or right here in the field where it says Enter the Menu Name here, we can give our new menu a name, and then we can click on this button here that says Create Menu. Once the menu has been created, the next step is we need to add pages to our menu. And here on the left-hand side, you can see all of the recent pages that have been added to your site. And here in the middle, where it says View All, you can view all of the pages on your website. So the pages that I like to add for this menu include the About page, the blog page, the contact page. I'd also like to add the page with my email opt-in form, so I'll select that. And finally, the shop page. Once you've selected all the pages that you'd like to display within the menu, go ahead and click on Add to Menu to add those pages to the menu. Next, you can reorganize the items here by dragging them where you'd like to have them be displayed. So for example, the shop page I want to display first, so I'll just drag it to the top. And then any other pages, you can just simply move them around how you'd like to see them. Also, if you'd like to change the title of these menu items, you can do so by clicking on the caret to the right-hand side, and then in the navigation label, you can simply change the title of the menu item. Once you've adjusted all of the items within the menu, go to the top and click on Save Menu to save your menu. Now note that when we scroll down to the bottom, we see the menu settings. In this particular theme, the storefront theme, this theme comes with 3 different menus: a primary menu, secondary menu, and a handheld menu, which is for the display of the menu on a mobile device. So next up, we need to set the locations of our menu. So I'm going to create this as the primary menu. So I'm going to click on primary menu and then I'm going to click on save menu. You can also set the menu locations at the top by going to the top, clicking on manage locations, and you can also set the location here where it says theme location and you can assign a menu. Now note that here it says your theme supports 3 menus. Select which menu appears in each location. A quick behind the scenes note, when we hop on over to my finished website over here, we see that the menu is displaying here. This particular location is the secondary menu location. So if you'd like to display the menu here, you can just go back to our locations and you can set the secondary menu by selecting your menu, and then you can click on Save Changes here. Now, the reason that I'm not doing this, once again, a behind the scenes little hint, is that when I recorded pretty much this entire video, I was using the secondary menu. And then when I finished it, I discovered that when you reduce this into a mobile device view, so note that when I return it and I create this mobile device view. Now note that when I'm clicking on this navigation, nothing is happening and the menu is not displaying. So the secondary menu does not display in a mobile device view, which is not good, right? We need to have everyone be able to easily look at the menu and navigate around the website. So I am re-recording this menu tutorial part right here, and I'm going to insert it into the video to show you how to set up the menu properly so that it displays on all devices. So that's a little glitch that I am fixing by re-recording this particular section of the video. So going forward in the video, you're going to continue to see the secondary menu displaying here because I'm not going to record the whole entire video all over again. So this is just one little piece, but I am going to show you right now how to adjust this so that the menu will display on all devices. So instead of using a secondary menu like I've been doing throughout the whole video, throughout this particular tutorial, I'm going to use a primary menu location instead. That's why when we come here, I'm just going to set this to nothing. For the handheld menu, I am going to set that to the menu that we've just created. So I'm going to have 2 menus set, a primary menu and a handheld menu, and then I'm going to click on Save Changes to save my changes. So now when we go to our site to visit our site, I'm going to go up to the top and click on Visit Site, and here we can see we have our primary menu, and our menu is actually going to be displayed below our logo. So note that on this particular version of the storefront theme, when I reduce the screen size so that it is a mobile device view right here, now when I click on this, now we can see the menu display within the mobile responsive view, which is exactly what we want. Once again, we're using a handheld menu location as well as a primary menu location. Okay, so once we have the header navigation set up, the next step is we need to remove all of this stuff right here that is showing up on the home page. Recent posts, comments, archives, we really don't need all of that. All we really want is we want to have the header navigation area, and then we want to go directly into the home page title and then the actual products. So to remove all of this stuff, I'm going to go back to the dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then I'm going to go down to Appearance, hover over Appearance, and click on Widgets. Now, when you first install WordPress and this theme, you'll get all of these different widgets that show up in the header area, and that explains why all of those things are still showing up on the home page. So to remove all of these, you can simply drag them over to the left one by one to deactivate them, or you can click on this caret on the right-hand side and then click on the delete button to delete each widget. So I'm just going to delete these one by one to get rid of all of them so that we have a really clean header area. And now with nothing in the header section, when I go back to the site by clicking on Visit Site, now we see it's looking so much better. I have a really nice header navigation area, and then I move directly into the actual home page. So here we have our homepage title. We're going to be customizing that and centering it in a little bit. But right now what I want to do is move on with our website, starting to create some products and add product categories and featured products and all of this stuff to the home page. So to create a new product, we want to go back to our dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Here on the dashboard, to add a new product, you can go to the top, hover over plus New, and click on Product. Or on the left-hand sidebar, you can scroll down to where it says Products, hover over Products, and click on Add Product. Once you click on Add Product, you'll get the new product screen where you can give your new product a title, a description, and fill in all the rest of the info related to this product. So starting at the top, I'm going to give my new product a name. And then here in this white visual view, I'm going to add a description. Now this is the longer description, so however long you want to make it, you can just add the description in here. On the right-hand side, it'll say product categories, so I want to add a new product category by clicking on this link that says add new product category, and then I'll call this Super Shots. And once you add in the new category name, go ahead and once again click on this button that says add new product category. Once the product category has been created, it'll now have a checkbox next to it. Then we can just scroll down. If you'd like to add some product tags, you can do so right here. Making sure that if you have more than one tag, you want to separate them with a comma. Once you've added your tags separated by commas, go ahead and click on Add to create the new tags. Now on the left-hand side, we'll see that there's the product data section, and this is where we set up the WooCommerce section related to the price and the SKU and attributes like that. So starting with the product data, this is going to be a simple product, which means it's just one price and one product. There's no variations or anything like that. But we see here that there are a number of other types of products that you can choose depending on the product that you are adding to your site. You have a simple product, a group product, an external affiliate product, or a variable product. So this product, once again, is very simple. It's one price and one product. There's no variation, so I'll just leave it like that. Then moving on to general, if you'd like to create a SKU, you can do that. Now a SKU, when you click on this question mark here, hover over it, a little tooltip will pop up telling you exactly what this is about. Here it says SKU refers to a stock keeping unit, a unique identifier for each distinct product and service that can be purchased. So if you'd like to create a SKU, go ahead and do so. I'm not going to do that here. Instead, I'm going to move on to regular price. I'll make this $9, and I'm going to make a sale price here of $5 so you can see what that looks like when we create a sale. Next up, here we have the inventory section. If you'd like to manage stock, if you were creating those SKUs in the previous example, you can do so here. Once again, note that there's this question mark, which when you hover on top of it, it will tell you exactly what the stock status is all about. Also, if you want to sell things individually, you can click on this box. I'm not selling this particular product that I'm uploading right now individually, so I'm going to leave all of these unchecked. I'm not going to touch those. Then moving on to shipping, you can set up the shipping weights and dimensions and classes right here. Again, noting that there are these question marks here that will tell you exactly what each of all these do. There's also really great documentation within the WooThemes website, and I'll be sure to drop a link down below so you can check it out and learn more about shipping. Here, if you'd like to link your products, whether you want to upsell or cross-sell products, this is a great way to sell more products on your website. You can do so here. And again, here you want to check out this question mark to read more about it. Now, I can't create any upsells or cross-sells right now because I haven't created any products to upsell to. So we'll have to come back to this a little bit later. And again, I will leave some links down below so that you can check this out. Moving on to attributes, this really relates to when we have a variable product, and right now we're dealing with the simple product, so we don't need this right here. And then finally, for the advanced tab, if you'd like to leave a note when your customer has bought the item, here it says enter an optional note to send the customer after purchase. You can do so here, and if you'd like to set the menu order, you can set the position of this particular product right here. Finally, if you'd like to enable or disable reviews, you can do so by clicking on this checkbox here. Okay, so we have everything that we want here. This is really simple again. That's the beauty of a simple product. You just simply have mainly a regular price and a sale price if you're not dealing with SKUs or inventory. Okay, then I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom. And here where it says product short description, you can add a short description of your product. We'll see in a moment where the product short description and the full description are located on the product page. For now, let's just leave it like that with adding the short product description. Then I'm going to come up to the top and click on Publish to publish my first product on my WordPress website. Once our simple product has been created, let's create a variable product. A variable product is a product which has several different variations, each of which may have a different SKU, a different price, and different options within the product. For example, if we have a t-shirt or a smoothie bundle available in different colors, sizes, or flavors, that would be a variable product. So to create a variable product, once again, we want to go up to the top, hover over plus new, and click on product. Then we want to give our new product a name. So in this case, since this is a variable product, I'm going to call it a smoothie ingredients bundle, which will include a number of different options that someone can select to receive a variety of different kinds of ingredients to make smoothies. So, okay, I'm going to give this product name. Then once you've given your product a title, you can add the product description here within the white box of the visual view. Next up is the product category, and here we can add a new product category once again by clicking on the link, Add New Product Category, naming our category, I'll call this Smoothies, and then once again you want to add the new product category by clicking on this link right here. Once a category has been created, you'll see a checkbox next to the new category. Then scrolling down, we can add some product tags if we'd like, once again separating tags with commas if you have any. And then on the left-hand side here, we need to change the product data section from simple product to a variable product. Then we have our SKU. Once again, if you'd like to give your product a SKU, if you'd like to add inventory, you can do so here and manage stock, any shipping, weight, dimensions, or classes. If you'd like to upsell or cross-sell your products, and then here we have the most important thing for a variable product is our attributes section. So here I want to just click on attributes, and then I want to click on add to create a new attribute. Here within attributes, you can create an attribute name and then add the values of the attribute. So for example, I'm going to give this a name of smoothies. And then for the values, I'm going to add the different flavors that this will come in for this smoothie bundle, making sure that I separate each one of the different values with this pipe symbol, which you can find on the right-hand side of your keyboard just above the return key. Once I've added all the different values separated by the pipe symbols, on the left-hand side, I want this to be visible on the product page, so you need to make sure you check this box, and I want to use this for variations. Once both boxes are checked, go ahead and click on this button that says Save Attributes to save the attributes. Once attributes have been saved, then we can move on to variations. So I'm going to click on this button right here to go to the variations panel. And first up, we want to click on this link that says Add Variations. Once we click on Add Variations, then we'll have this drop-down menu where we can choose each variation one by one. So I'll start with the first one, Cara Banana. On the right-hand side, I'm going to give it a regular price of $10, once again with a sale price of $7. And then scrolling down, everything else looks good. I'm just going to click on Add Variation to move on to my next variation. Just as we did with the first variation, I'm going to click on this drop-down box, choose my second variation, and once again, I'm going to give it a regular price and a sale price. If you don't want to give it a sale price, no worries, just leave it as it is with just the regular price. I have two more variations to go, so I'm going to click on Add Variation once again. This time I'll choose the third variation. This one I'm not going to put on sale, so I'll just make it a $10 regular price. And then lastly, the last variation down below, I'm going to click on the last one right there, and once again give it a regular price of $10. And then scrolling down here where it says defaults, we need to choose a default variation to be displayed. So I will select the first one here. Make sure that you have a default. And once again, you can see when you hover over the question mark, it says these are the attributes that will be pre-selected on the front end. Okay, so I have my default variation set up. Now I'm just going to scroll to the top. We can see that there's an advanced tab here, once again, as we saw in the previous example, but I'm not going to fill any of this out. If you want to leave a purchase note or change the menu order or enable or disable reviews, you can do that here. Okay, once I have all of my variations ready to go, I'm going to go up to the top and click on Publish to publish my new product. Okay, the product has been published. Now keep in mind, we have not yet added any images, so we need to add some images here. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. Here we can either add a product gallery or a featured image. At minimum, you want to make sure that you do have a featured image. So I'm going to set that by clicking on this link here that says Set Featured Image, and I'm going to use this particular one right here, this smoothie one right here. Again, you want to make sure that you have a title and an alternative text. And once you have both the title and alternative text, go ahead and click on this link that says Set Product Image to set the product image. Now also note on the left-hand side we have our product short description, which we have not yet filled out. This is optional, but I do prefer to add a short description, so I'll just add one sentence right here to the short product description field. Add that right there, and then coming up to the top, I'm going to update this by clicking on Update. Okay, so once our product has been updated, let's check it out by clicking on View Product. And here we see we have our product image, our product title, and the price. We see the sale price is now $7 or $10, depending on which version or variation is chosen. We have our short description right here, and then here are all of our different variations. So here we see this particular one is $7. This is the one that I put on sale, Cara Banana. But the Mango Coconut one we see is not on sale. That one is $10 right here. Then when we scroll down, we see here's the full product description. If there's any additional information, it will show up right here, notably the different variations of this product. And because we're just getting started, there are no reviews, but if there were any, those could be left right here. So this is how you add a variable product to your WooCommerce website. Now let's take a look on the home page by clicking on the site title or logo on the top left-hand corner. Then we scroll down, we can see that we have product categories here, but there are no images, and also these images are really small, so we need to change that. And then down below we have our recent products. Now note that we do have a thumbnail image for the last product that we just created, the variable product, the smoothie ingredients bundle. However, I forgot to add the image for the green algae shot. So let's fix that now. I'm going to click on this one right here. Then we see that there's no image, so I'm going to go up to the top, click on Edit Product. Then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom where it says Featured Image, and I'm going to click on Set Featured Image to set this image. So I'm going to click on Upload Files and Select Files. Then I'm going to select the image that I want and click on Open. And once this image is uploaded, then I want to give it a title and an alternative text. Once you have the title and alternative text, go ahead and click on Set Product Image to set the product image. Okay, that should look a lot better. Let's click on Update. And once this product has been updated, then we can check it out by clicking on View Product. Okay, that looks so much better. There it is right there. Now we do once again need to adjust the size of the image, but going back to the home page by clicking on the site title right here. Now when we scroll down, at least we have two images within the recent products section right here. And when we scroll down even further, here we also see these two different products on sale. Okay, so the next step is I want to change the sizes of these image thumbnails here on the home page. To do that, I'm going to go back to the site by clicking on Dashboard. And here on the product dashboard, the first thing I need to do is add a new plugin called Regenerate Thumbnails so we can regenerate the thumbnail image sizes within our site. So going down to plugins, I'm going to hover over plugins and click on Add New. Then here in the search field, I'm going to do a search for the Regenerate Thumbnails plugin. Here it is on the left-hand side, Regenerate Thumbnails. You can read more about it by clicking on More Details, or you can install now by clicking on Install Now. I'm going to click on Install Now. Are you sure you want to install this? Yes, okay. And then once the plugin has been successfully installed, I'm going to activate it by clicking on Activate Plugin. Okay, once the plugin has been activated, now we can change the dimensions within our thumbnails of our product images. We do that by going down to WooCommerce or over to WooCommerce, hovering over WooCommerce and clicking on Settings. Next, here at the top, we have the Product tab, so I'm going to click on Products. Then I'm going to scroll down, and here where it says Product Image Sizes, we want to change this to 300 by 400 for the single product image, so I'm going to change that. It's 300 by 300, so I'll make it 400. And also the catalog images, I want to make those 300 by 400 as well. Once the image sizes have been changed, then I'm going to scroll down and click on Save Changes to save the changes. Next, I need to actually regenerate the thumbnails, so we do that by going to our media library. And here within the media library, we can see all of the different images in our library, or if you want to see them in list form, you can click on this icon on the left-hand side, and that will give you a list of all the different images on our site. So the main ones that I want to regenerate are these different product images that I've added. So I'm going to click on the two so far. I've only added 2 products, and here's each of the images for those. So I'm just going to select those specifically, and then here where it says Bulk Actions, I'm going to to click on that, then choose Regenerate Thumbnails and click on Apply to regenerate the thumbnails of these two product images. Okay, once those have been successfully resized, we can check them out on the site by clicking on Visit Site. And now when I scroll down, we can see that these images look a little bit different. They're taller and a little bit wider. We could see them a lot easier. So, okay, now going forward, we really just need to add more products, a lot of new products to our site. So I'm going to be adding more products to this site behind the scenes, following the exact steps that we just completed in the previous two examples. I'm going to be adding simple products and variable products to this website. When I come back, we're going to continue by adding the product thumbnail images right here so we can replace these placeholders with actual images. So I'll see you on the other side once I've added some more products to this site. So here we're back on the homepage of our storefront e-commerce WordPress website, and we can see that I've added quite a few additional products to our site, so it's looking a lot better. Next up, let's change these placeholder images to actual images for the product categories. To do that, I'm going to go up to the top, hover over the website name and click on Dashboard. Then on the left-hand sidebar, I'm going to scroll down to Products, hover over Products, and click on Categories. Here on the right-hand side, we can see all the categories that I've added to my e-commerce WordPress website, starting with breakfast, the first category. So here we see that there's a number of different images that need to be set. So I'm going to click on Edit to edit the thumbnail image. Then at the bottom, I'm going to scroll down, and here where it says thumbnail, I'm going to click on this button that says Upload Add Image. Then I'm going to select the image that I'd like for this particular product category, making note that there is a title and alternative text. Then I'll click on this button here to use the image. Then I'm simply going to click on Update to update the product category. Okay, so we have our first thumbnail image done. I'm going to do that with each of these other images simply by clicking on Edit, then scrolling to the bottom where it says thumbnail, clicking on Upload Add Image, selecting an image, and then clicking on, once again, Use Image. Once image displays, then I'm going to click on Update to update the product category. So behind the scenes, I'm going to repeat these steps, adding a thumbnail image for each of the additional categories. So here we are back on the homepage of our storefront website, and we can see when I scroll down, I now have the thumbnail images for the categories, so that looks a lot better. And we see that I have all of these other sections on the homepage. So the next thing that I want to do here is I want to streamline all of these products. I prefer having fewer products so it's not so busy. So I want to remove the top rated product section, and actually I also want to remove altogether the recent product section. Instead of recent products, I'm simply going to include the featured products for the site. So to change the layout of which sections are being displayed on the home page, we need to go back to the dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then I'm going to go down to Appearance, hover over Appearance, and click on Storefront. This is the welcome screen that we saw when we first installed the Storefront WooCommerce theme. On the right-hand side, it says Configure Homepage Template, and there's a small note here that says once the homepage has been set up, which we've already set up the homepage, it says you can toggle and reorder the different sections of the homepage by using the Homepage Control plugin. So we need to install this plugin to our website. So when I click on this link right here, you'll see that it will bring us to the plugin directory within WordPress.org, and here is the Homepage Control plugin that we need. So I'm just going to go back to my website right here. I'm going to go down to Plugins, hover over Plugins, and click on Add New. Then here in the Search Plugins box, I'm going to do a search for Homepage Control. Here it is on the left-hand side, Homepage Control by Woo Themes, so we know we're in the right spot. Then I'm going to click on this button, Install Now, to install this plugin on my site. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, okay. And once a plugin has been successfully installed, we can activate it by clicking on Activate Plugin. Okay, so once a plugin has been activated, now when we go to Appearance, hover over Appearance, now we have a new item here in the list called Homepage, which when I click on this will give us a way to easily remove or add different sections to the homepage of the Storefront WooCommerce e-commerce theme for WordPress. So the sections that I do want to include the homepage content. I'll add product categories. I want to remove the recent products, so I'm going to uncheck that. I want to include the featured products, and I want to remove the storefront popular products. So I'm just selecting the ones that I actually want to have displayed. Then to save my changes, I'm going to click on this button that says Save Changes. Once the different components are set up, now I can check out the site by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site. Here we now see the product categories, which looks great, our featured products and our on sale products, and everything looks good. The only catch is that we don't have any featured products being displayed. So let's set our items so that we will start displaying some featured products. To feature products on a page, you want to go up to the top, click on Dashboard once again, then go down to Products. So I'm just going to scroll down here, hover over Products and click on the Products tab. Here we see a list of all the products that have been added to our site. So to feature a specific product, you want to click on this link here that says Quick Edit. Then you want to scroll down, and here you'll see there's a small box that says Featured. You just want to check it and then click on Update to update this product. So I'm going to do that 4 times. Once again, I'll feature these organic yellow lemons. So I'll click on Quick Edit, scroll down, click on Featured, and click on Update. It's really fast and so easy with WooCommerce. 2 more to go. I'll add the Quick Edit on the raw organic cacao, click on Featured and Update. And last but not least, I will also update the organic rainbow chard by clicking on Quick Update, Featured, and then Update once again. Okay, in just a matter of 20 seconds, we've created 4 featured products, which is awesome. So now going back to the site by clicking on Visit Site, now we see that it looks really, really good. We have our tagline at the top, which in a moment will be centering, so it's a little bit more centered. Then we have our product categories, our featured products are now being displayed, and we have our on sale products as well. Looking great. Also at the bottom, I want to add some footer widgets, footer sections here, so we can add custom content to the bottom of our footer. So next up, before actually customizing any specific parts of the website, I'm going to come to the bottom and I'm going to start adding the footer widgets in the footer section. So to add footer widgets, you want to go up to the top, click on Dashboard. Then here on Dashboard, you want to go down to Appearance, hover over Appearance, and click on Widgets. Here within the widgets panel, you'll see there's 4 different widgets that come built in with the storefront theme, starting with footer number 1. So I'm just going to open it by clicking on this particular button right here, this little caret. And for this particular one, taking a look at our finished site over here, I want to add a menu item with the same 4 or 5 items that we've added to our secondary menu up above. So basically, I want to replicate this menu down below here on the left-hand side. To do that, I'm going to scroll down to where it says Custom Menu and drag Custom Menu to footer number 1. Here at the title, I'll just call it Company. And then for select the menu, I'm going to select Menu, and then I'll click on Save. This will add the menu to the left-hand side of the footer. Then I'll close it by once again clicking on this caret. Next up, I want to add another menu to my footer section. Here on the finished site, we see I have some fine print, some FAQ, an FAQ page, terms and conditions page, and a privacy policy page. Of course, we haven't added these pages yet to the site, so I'm going to add them really quickly by going back to my dashboard right here, going up to the top, hovering over plus new and clicking on page. Here at the top, I'll just add frequently asked questions, the title. Then of course, as we did in the previous examples, here in the white box, you want to add your content. And then on the right-hand side, I'm going to keep it as a default template right there. Just leave it as default template. Scroll to the bottom. I'm going to uncheck comments and trackbacks to disable that. And then I'll just come up to the top and click on publish to publish my new frequently asked questions page. I'm going to do this for 2 more pages because as we see on our finished site, we have terms page and a privacy policy page. So once again, I'll just click on add new, add my privacy policy here. Along with some content, scroll to the bottom, disable comments and trackbacks, and then I'll click on publish to publish this page. Last but not least, I have 1 more page to add, which is my terms and conditions page. So I'll click on add new to add 1 new page. Add the title as well as the content, and then scroll to the bottom, disable comments and trackbacks, and then scroll to the top and click on publish. Now I have 3 additional pages added to my site. Next up, I want to create a custom menu by going over to Appearance, hovering over Appearance and clicking on Menu. Then I want to create a new menu by clicking on Create a New Menu. Here I'll just call this Footer since this will be the footer menu, and then I'll click on the Create Menu button to create a new menu. Once a footer menu has been created, now we can start adding pages to the footer menu. So I'm going to add the terms and conditions, privacy policy, and FAQs. Click on those boxes right here next to each of those pages, and then click on this button that says Add to Menu to add these to the menu. Then to reorder them, I can simply drag them around to reorder them. And if I want to change the actual name of this particular menu item, I can do so by clicking on this caret on the right-hand side and then changing the navigation label right here. Once you have everything set the way you like, go ahead and click on Save Menu to save the menu. Once a menu has been updated, now we can go back to our widgets section by clicking on widgets underneath appearance. So I go to appearance widgets, and then on the right hand side under footer number 2, now I can add my custom menu. So I'm going to grab this widget right here on the left hand side, custom menu, and drag that to footer 2 section area. And here where it says select menu, this time I can choose the footer menu. At the top, I'm going to give it a title. I'll just call it the fine print. And then I'll click on Save to save my changes. Okay, so I've got footer number 1 and 2 taken care of. Next up, we need to add footer number 3 and 4. So the next one that I want to add is some social sharing, social icons right here under footer 3. So I'm going to be using the Simple Social Icons plugin. So to add this plugin, I'm going to go to the left-hand side, hover over Plugins, and click on Add New. Then on the right-hand side, I'm going to do a search for the Simple Social Icons. There it is right there. Search for it, and then on the top left-hand side, here we see it is, Simple Social Icons. I'm going to install it by clicking on Install Now. Are you sure you want to install this? Yes, okay. And then once it has been successfully installed, we can activate it by clicking on Activate Plugin. Once this plugin has been activated, now when we go to widgets by hovering over appearance and clicking on widgets, now when we scroll down to the bottom, now we'll see the Simple Social Icons widget being displayed on the left-hand side. So here for footer number 3, I'm going to open up footer number 3 by clicking on this caret. Then I'll scroll down to the widget for Simple Social Icons, and I'm going to drag it to footer number 3 area right here. Next, here within the plugin settings, first up is the title. So I'm going to call this Connect by just typing in Connect right there in the title field. For the icon text, I'll leave it as 36 pixels. For the border radius, I'm going to make this 100 because I want this to be a rounded icon. Then I'll leave the alignment as alignment left. Then scrolling down for the background color, I want this to be orange to complement the colors of the site. So I'm going to override the default number there and just add my orange color in for both the background color and the background hover color. And then scrolling down, we want to add whatever social networks that you want to have displayed with an icon in the footer section of your website. Once you've added the URLs of all the different social networks that you'd like to have displayed, go ahead and click on Save to save your changes. Okay, so we're done with footer number 3. The last one we need to complete is footer number 4. And this one's going to be easy because for footer number 4, I simply want to display a search box so anyone who visits my site can easily find content throughout the site. So on the left-hand side, I'm just going to scroll down to where it says Search, add a search form for your site. And I'm just going to drag that up to footer section number 4. And then here for the title, I'll just call it Search This Site. Okay, once you have the title set, go ahead and click on Save to save your settings. Now when we go back to the home page by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site, now when we scroll down to the bottom, now we see our footer section looking really nice with all of the different customized content within our footer section. So we can see in our homepage that our e-commerce website using the storefront theme is starting to come together really nicely. We have our tagline at the top as well as our products on our homepage, followed by our customized content here in the footer section. There's a number of other things we still need to do to complete this website, however, starting with number 1, I want to make some customizations to our site, to the styles and appearance of the site. For example, I want this tagline to be centered. I want to remove some of this empty space right here and some other minor style changes for the website. Also, we need to continue setting up the WooCommerce plugin. Finally, we need to add some custom content to the blog sidebar on the blog archive page. So starting with the customizations, we're going to move into that now. I'm going to be making some customizations to our site. And whenever we're making customizations, it's always a good idea to have a child theme. So first we're going to create a child theme by going up to the dashboard and clicking on Dashboard. Note that when you're using the Jetpack plugin, when you scroll down here under Appearance, when you hover over Appearance, there's this other option right here called Edit CSS. And of course, if you'd like to just add your CSS styles right here, you can do so and you can skip creating a child theme. Personally, I prefer to create a child theme because it creates a completely other file where all of the styles that we're going to add will be protected, and you don't have to worry about accidentally having this be erased. So I prefer to create a child theme, so we're going to do that by adding a plugin called Child Themify. This is the fastest way and easiest way to create a child theme. So going down to plugins, I'm going to hover over plugins and click on Add New. Then here in the search field, I'm going to do a search for Child Themify. Then on the top left-hand corner here where it says Child Themify, I'm going to click on Install Now to install this plugin. Are you sure you want to install this plugin? Yes, okay. And once a plugin has been successfully installed, I'm going to click on Activate Plugin to activate the plugin. Once a plugin has been activated, now we can create the child theme by going to Appearance, hovering over Appearance, and clicking on Themes. Here on the Themes page, we'll see our active theme that's being used right now is the Storefront Parent theme. And when I click on Theme Details, now on the bottom right-hand corner, we'll see a button that says Create a Child Theme. So I'm going to click on this button that says Create a Child Theme. Then at the top, we need to give our child theme a name. So I'll just call this Storefront Child. And then I'm going to click on this button that says Let's Go to create the child theme. Once a child theme has been successfully created, we can go back to Themes by going to Appearance and Themes, and now we'll see that we have two similar looking thumbnails here for the different themes. Right here, the active theme right now is the parent theme, and on the right hand side we see we have the child theme. So before I actually activate this, I want to make a note that some things on the website are going to be a little bit off, so we're going to need to adjust those. Namely, when we activate the child theme right here, we're going to have a different color here on the header section as well as a different color in the footer section. So some of the styles are going to be off. So you just want to make a note of those by going to Customize right here on the left hand side. Then we'll see that there's the header colors right here. You see we have the background color, text color, and link color. You want to make a note of those colors. And then also for the footer, same thing. You just want to make a note of the different heading colors, text colors, link and background colors. These are the main things that are going to change within our theme when we activate the child theme. The good news is that if you ever forget what the color codes are from the parent theme, you can simply find them by reactivating the parent theme. Okay, so I'm going to close this out right here, and I'm going to go back to the Themes section right here. I found this page by going to Appearance and Themes, and then here on the right hand side I'm going to activate the child theme by clicking on Activate. Now we see that the active theme is the child theme right here, and when I check it out by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site, we will see a little bit different page right here, but no worries, we're going to take care of this in just a few seconds. This is pretty simple to fix actually, so I'm just going to go back to the menu. First of all, we need to just change the menu location, so I'm going to go back to the menu by clicking on Menu. And here on the menus page, I'm just going to go up to Manage Locations, and then I'm going to reset the menus. So as we did previously for the primary menu, I'm going to select Menu. I'm going to leave the secondary menu as it is, and for the handheld menu, I'm going to click on Menu. Then I'm going to click on Save Changes to save my changes. Once again, keeping in mind that this is a re-recording of this particular menu section. Earlier in this video tutorial, I explained why I had to re-record how to set up a menu, and I explained why I wasn't using a secondary menu anymore. Namely, it's because there was an update to the storefront theme, so I wanted to accommodate that update to give you the latest info, but I didn't record the entire video. I only recorded just this section. So we're going to see, going forward in this video tutorial, we're going to see the secondary menu being displayed. However, we're actually creating simply a primary menu. Again, please refer to the previous section in this video tutorial if you have any questions related to why the secondary menu is showing up in this video and why the primary menu is not showing up. I explained it in more detail earlier in this video tutorial. With that said, I'm going to go to visit the site by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site. The other thing that we want to do is just change the color, which is what I referred to just a few moments ago. So I'm going to do that by going up to the top, going directly to Customize. So you can either go directly to Customize here, or you can click on Dashboard, then go down to Appearance and Customize and find the Customize panel this way. Now this is where we just want to change the colors. So once again, the header color, I want the background color to be white. So I'm just going to click on white right there, and we can see that immediately adjusted itself, which is great. And then for the text color and the link color, I'm going to leave the text color as it is, but the link color we can't see it right now because it's white on white. So I'm just going to change that by clicking on select color and adding a darker color code there so we can see it a little bit better. Then I'm going to click on save and publish to save and publish this change. Okay, next up is the footer. When I scroll down to the bottom here, we can see that our footer looks a little bit different. So I need to just change that back to that teal color. So I'm going to open this up, and then for the heading color, I'm going to make the heading color white. So I'll just pop in white right there. Then for the text color, I'm also going to make the text color white as well. So I'll just click on the white box right there. Then for the background color, I'm going to select the color, and this will be that dark teal color. So I'll just add that in. And finally, last but not least, the link color. I'll make this kind of gray, off gray color. Okay, then I'm just going to click on save and publish to save these changes. So this looks just the way it did before we had added the child theme. The great news now, however, is that now we have a child theme and we can safely make additional customizations to our site and not worry that those changes will be overwritten when WooThemes decides to update the parent theme. Okay, so to make those changes, I'm going to click on this X here to close this particular window. I'm going to go back to the home page by clicking on Visit Site. Now we see we have still a really nice menu right here underneath the site logo. We have a blank secondary menu right here, and now when I turn it into a responsive view, note that now we have this great menu right here, which when I click on this, here we have a drop-down list. So that's what you're going to have to do with the storefront theme. You're going to have to create a primary menu so that you have a menu being displayed within the responsive size, which is the size that anyone on a smartphone will be using. Okay, so now that we have that fixed, the next thing up is obviously I want to change the color of this bar right here to match the kind of teal color of my footer down below. So to change that, I'm going to go up to the top here. Then here at the top, I'm going to open my window once again so I can see the full website view, and I'm going to go back to the dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then I'm going to go down to Appearance and Customize, and on the left-hand sidebar, we can change the color of the button by clicking on this link here that says Buttons. Here we see that the background color is this gray color right here, but when I click on select color, here I can add my new color. So I'll just make it that teal color right there. Then I'm going to click on save and publish to save that change. Note that when I did that in real time, the view over here now shows it in the teal color. Now, there's also this alternate button background color, which is purple, and I just want that to be teal as well. So once again, I'll click on select color, I'll drop in my teal color code, and then I'll click on save and publish to save and publish that change. Okay, that looks good. So closing this out, I'm going to go back to the home page to see what other customizations we may want to make. So clicking on Visit Site, here we see at the top we have the title, the logo, the menu items, and here we have our tagline for the home page. So this is the next thing that I'd like to change. I want to center this. So to center the title, once again, we're going to be using Google Inspect Elements. However, this time, instead of going up to the top right-hand corner and clicking on these three lines, I'm going to go the fast route and simply hold down the Control key on my Mac. You can also right-click with your mouse if you're using a PC. I'm going to hold down the Control key and click on my mouse, and that will open up this other box right here, and we can go directly to Inspect Elements. So there's two different ways that you can find the developer tools and specifically Inspect Elements within the Google Chrome browser. This way will bring us directly to the code we need right here, and then here we see it on the right-hand side. So I can just drop in the new code that I want, which is text align, and then I'm going to center it, and here we see now it's centered, which looks really nice. So then to capture that, I need to actually highlight and copy all of this code right there. Then I'm going to close the developer tools, go back to my dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then I'll go down to Appearance and Editor, And in the style sheet right here, I'm going to paste the code that I just copied in the previous step, making sure that I close it off with a closing bracket. Also noting that I did not change the margin bottom, the padding, or the border bottom. I didn't change any of that. So I'm going to delete all of that and simply add the code that I added to make that change. So there's just one code here, and no worries if you can't see it, I'll be sure to drop it in the video. Once you have it here, go ahead and click on Update File to update your file. Next up, let's go back to the site by clicking on Visit Site. And now we see that the title is now centered exactly how I want it. Now I'm not sure if you really could see it in the video, but there's like sort of some kind of background here. There's a white header area, and then when we move into the content section of the home page, there's like this off-white color that starts right about here. So I want to turn that completely white so it matches the header above. To do that, I'm going to go back to the Customize panel right here by clicking on Customize. Then on the left-hand side, we're going to go to Background. Then we can scroll down, and here we see there's the background color. When I click on Select Color, we can see that there's an off-white color right here. So to make it completely white, I'm just going to click on this white box down below, and we can see it changes the color code to 6Fs. So now we have a completely white background. Then I'm just going to come up to the top and click on Save and Publish to save and publish this particular change. Now closing that out, going back to the website to check it out. And here we see on the home page that the background is now white, which is great. So next up, let's remove some of this white space between the title and the beginning of the product categories. To do that, once again, I'm going to hold down the Control key on my Mac and click the mouse. If you're on a PC, you can right-click your mouse to bring up this panel, and then I'm going to go directly to Inspect Elements and click on that to open up Inspect Elements. Here we can see it goes directly to the section right over here that we need to adjust. This is .h entry, and notice that when I scroll to the bottom here, it says the margin bottom is 63 pixels and the padding is 54 pixels. So these are some of the items that we want to adjust, just going up to the top. Here where it says margin, I'm just going to click in here and I'm going to change it to 0 to reduce that, and we can see right away it moves up a little bit. Also know that there's this border now that goes right on top of product categories, so I want to remove that as well. So here it says border bottom is 6 pixels. I'm going to make that 0 pixels to remove that altogether. And finally, we still have the padding bottom happening right here, 3 EMs, and we see when I scroll down that's about 54 pixels. So if I remove that, it's going to remove a little bit more space in between the title and the product categories. So I'm going to come up to the top, and right here where it says padding bottom, I'm going to type in there, and I'm just going to change that from about 3 to 0. Okay, that looks so much better. Now we can see that's what it's going to look like. So we just kind of tightened up all the areas in between the title and the product categories. Okay, so now we need to actually copy this. So I'm going to highlight and copy this code right here. Then I'm going to close the Developer Tools, go back to my dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then I'll go down to Appearance and Editor. And here within my style sheet, once again, I'm going to paste the code that I just copied in the previous step, making sure that you also have these closing brackets right here. Then I'm going to click on Update File to update the file. Okay, once the file has been updated, we can go check it out by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Sites. And now we see that there's a lot less space in between the title and the product categories, so it's a little bit tighter there. It looks a lot better, and so we are good to go. So we have just a few more customizations to make to the website. Here on the homepage, our homepage is looking really good so far. We've got our title, our product categories, all the different images, and then we have our footer section down below, so that looks good. But there's one section here that I want to change. Specifically, I want to get rid of all of these numbers next to the product category and just keep it really clean and kind of just a real clean, minimal look. So to remove these numbers, I am going to once again use Inspect Elements. On my Mac, I'm going to hold down the Control key and click on the mouse. Again, if you're on a PC, right-click your mouse, and then this little box will pop up. I'm going to click on Inspect Elements to go directly to this code. And here we can see on the right-hand side, here we see this mark code right here with this background color of yellow, text decoration and padding. So to remove the number altogether, I'm going to use this display none code. I'm just adding display then none. And we can see when I do so, it completely removes all those numbers, which is really great. Then I'm just going to highlight and copy this code right here. Then I'm going to close Developer Tools, go back to the dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. Then I'm going to go down to Appearance, click on Editor, and here within my Child Theme style sheet at the bottom, I'm going to paste the code that I just copied in the previous step, making sure that I close it off with a closing bracket and keeping in mind that I didn't really change any of this other code here. I only added display none, so I'm going to get rid of all the code I didn't touch. And we simply are going to have the mark, comma, ins, and then the bracket and display none. That's it. I'll be sure to drop the code down below so you can read it more clearly in this video. Then just click on Update File to update your file. Now when we go back to the website by clicking on Visit Site, now we can see on the home page those numbers are no longer there, which is really great. Now there's one other thing here that I noticed. Here we have our top rated products still showing up, and I really don't want that there. I really just want to keep it simple with 3 sections. We will have, actually, it looks like some other things changed, right? Like we have our product categories, that looks good. I do not want recent products. I do want featured products, and I don't want top rated. So probably when we created the child theme, some of these settings just got reverted back to the default. So let's go ahead and take care of removing top rated products, and we will also remove recent products. Okay, to do that, I'm gonna go back up to the top, click on Dashboard. Then here on the dashboard, I'm gonna go down to Appearance, hover over Appearance, and click on Homepage. Here on the Homepage panel, we can select which sections we want to have displayed on the home page. So I want all of them to be displayed with the exception of recent products, so I'm going to remove that, and I'm also going to remove popular products. So in essence, we're going to have the homepage content, product categories, featured products, and on sale products. Then I'm going to click on Save Changes to save my changes. Now when I go back to the home page by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site, now we can see we only have 3 different sections, which is exactly how I want it to be displayed. Okay, so we're looking really good so far. Next up, let's take a look at the blog page because I know there's some changes that need to be happening there. So I'm going to click on Blog, and here we can see at the top, first of all, this title is in purple, and I want that to be this teal color. To change the color of the links, including the titles right here, I'm going to go back up to the top, hover over the website name, and go directly to the Customize panel. Here on the Customize panel on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a note here that says Typography. When I open that up, here we can see the link accent color, and that's what we need to change. So I'm going to click on Select Color, then instead of purple, I'm going to drop my teal color right in there, and then I'm going to click on Save and Publish to save and publish those changes. We can see on the right-hand side in real time it's already changed to this teal color, which is great. Then to close it out, once again, I'm going to click on the X to close the panel. Okay, so we're done making customizations to our website. Next up, let's add a sidebar with custom content to our blog archive page as well as our blog posts. To add custom content to the sidebar, we want to go up to our widgets panel by either going up to the website name and then clicking on widgets, or you can click on dashboard, then go down to appearance, hover over appearance, and click on widgets. Here on the widgets panel, you'll see that there's a sidebar section, and this is where you can add any kind of custom content that you'd like. So in this particular example, I want to add my social icons. I'm going to scroll to the bottom here, find those simple social icons and drag them up to the top right here in the sidebar section. Then as we did for the footer, I want to configure all of the different settings within the simple social icons. So once you've added your settings within simple social icons, scroll to the bottom. Then you just want to click on Save to save the settings. Okay, so once the settings have been saved, I can close this box by going up to the top here and clicking on this caret to collapse this box. The other thing that I want to add in the sidebar is my email opt-in form. So I'm going to be using the magic action box once again. I'm going to drag that up to the top right here, place it underneath the simple social icons, and then here you can just add whichever box that you've already created. You can just add that right there and then click on Save. Earlier in this video, I went over the magic action box and I referred you specifically to another video on my YouTube channel where I show step-by-step from scratch how to set up the magic action box. I'll be sure to drop a link to that video down below so you can check it out. Once you have the simple social icons as well as the email opt-in form set up within the sidebar, next up we need to configure our settings within WooCommerce. So to set up those settings, I'm going to go to the left-hand sidebar, hover over WooCommerce, and then click on Settings. And here we'll see at the top you'll have a number of different options to set up the WooCommerce settings. The first tab are the general options, and here we can see at the top that the first thing you need to choose, of course, is your base location. So I'm in California, so I'm going to leave it as US California. Note that when you click on this, you'll get a drop-down box and you can choose wherever you are located. Also note that there's going to be this question mark next to many of these different settings, and when I hover on top of that, it will tell you exactly what this particular setting does. So for example, for this one, it says, this is the base location for your business. Tax rates will be based on this country. Okay, once you have your base location, then you need to choose the selling location. I'm going to be selling to every country, but if you'd like to limit the countries where you're selling to, you can just click on here and then click on sell to specific countries only and then choose those countries. Okay, next up you have some store notices and APIs. I'm not going to be changing anything here. I'm going to leave those as they are. Then I'm going to scroll down, and here where it says currency options, it says the following options affect how prices are displayed on the front end. So these are the currencies that will be displaying within your website. For currency, I'm going to leave it as US dollars since I'm in California, but once again, when you click on this, just go ahead and choose whichever currency that you'd like to have featured on your website. Here we have the currency position. I'm going to leave all of these as they are. Most of the time within WooCommerce, the default settings are set up just as I need them to be, so I don't make too many changes here. But of course, if you have a different currency and you'd like to have it formatted in a different way, be sure and go ahead and adjust that here. Keeping in mind, once again, that when you hover over each of these question marks, you'll get a tooltip that tells you exactly what this particular setting does. Okay, then I'm just going to scroll to the bottom and click on Save Changes to save my changes. Next up, once we have our general settings set up, we want to move on to the product tab here. So I'm going to click on that. And here you'll see that you have two different options, both the product options as well as inventory options. So at the top, starting with product options, we have our product listings, and these are the various pages and how you want the pages to be displayed. So once again, hovering over the question mark, this particular one for the product archive shop page, this sets the base page of your shop. This is where your product archive will be. So when you first installed WooCommerce and generated WooCommerce pages, this particular page, the shop page, was created by WooCommerce. So you should see that right here. If there's another page that you'd like to have featured, you can go ahead and click on this box and choose that page down below. I'm going to keep it as the shop page because this is the product archive shop page, so that makes sense. And then moving down the list, you can decide how you want that shop page to be displayed, if you want to show products and subcategories, or both, or one or the other, you can do so right here. So once again, I really like all the different defaults, so I'm not going to change any of these, but you can go through each of these different question marks, check out the tooltip, and if you'd like to make changes, go ahead and do so here. Scrolling down, then we'll have our product data. So if you are shipping anything and you want to specify the weight or the dimensions, then you can do so here and choose the type of weight unit that you'd like to have displayed. So instead of kilograms, I'm going to choose pounds, and instead of centimeters, I'm going to choose inches. And then that's how I'll have that set up. Okay, product ratings, I'm going to leave all of these defaults as they are. Then I'm going to move down here, product image sizes. If you want to change the size of the thumbnails, you can do so by changing those dimensions in here, and then keeping in mind, after you change these settings, you need to regenerate your thumbnails. You can do that by clicking on this link right here. I don't need to regenerate anything right now. Everything is, we've already kind of gone over it earlier in the video, so I'm going to leave that all as it is right here. Scroll to the bottom and click on Save Changes to save my changes. Now, if you're managing inventory, you'll want to click on this link here that says Inventory, and here you'll see a number of different inventory options that you can set up within your WooCommerce site. So I'm not going to be dealing with inventory, so I'm going to leave everything as it is. I'm going to move forward into taxes right here, the third tab at the top here, and here you can configure all of your different tax options. So for taxes, WooCommerce, WooThemes actually has a really great video on their website that goes in much more detail about tax options. So I'm going to refer you to that wonderful video on the WooThemes site. The page is called Configuring WooCommerce Settings, and you can see here on the left-hand side, they go over taxes, checkout, shipping, accounts, emails, and all kinds of really great things here to help you to set up your WooCommerce plugin settings. So for example, when I click on taxes here, you'll scroll down and they've got this awesome video that goes over the details related to tax settings. So this is definitely worth checking out. You can also read and see the examples here of the screenshots of what it looks like within their demo. So in lieu of doing that, because everyone has a different tax situation, I'm just going to refer you to this particular link here on the WooThemes site. Back on our WordPress website, next up we have our checkout settings. So when I click on checkout at the top, this will bring us to our checkout options, starting with at the top, the checkout process. And if you'd like to add coupons and enable coupons, you can just leave the default set as it is with a check next to enable the use of coupons. If you'd like to create a coupon, you can go to the left-hand side here, hover over WooCommerce, click on coupons, and on this page, it will guide you through the steps to create a coupon. Moving forward, on the checkout process page, then you can also enable the guest checkout if you'd like, which, as it notes down below, allows customers to check out without creating an account. So by default, this is enabled, so I'm going to leave the default enabled as it is. And then moving down, we have our checkout pages. Once again, when you installed WooCommerce and created those pages for WooCommerce, these pages were automatically created, the cart page and the checkout page. So I'm just going to leave them as they are right there, because that is exactly how I want them. Also note that there's a terms and conditions page, and if you'd like to create terms and conditions, you can do so by going up to the top, clicking on plus new and page, creating your terms and conditions page, and once you create that page and add your terms and conditions, then when you come back to this page right here, you'll be able to select the page. Obviously, I haven't created a terms and conditions page, so I do not have one here. Actually, I take that back. It looks like I did. I forgot. So I do have a terms and conditions page, so I can just click on that right there, and that will set the terms and conditions page. Awesome. Okay, next up we have our checkout endpoints. I'm going to leave all of these as they are. I'm not going to touch those. And then moving down the line, we have our payment gateways. Now, by default, when you install WooCommerce, these 3 payment gateways will be active and enabled: direct bank transfer, check payment, and PayPal. You can see on the right-hand side here with the purple check mark, the status when I hover on top of it says enabled. So if you want to disable this, then you would just need to go to the settings for each one of these. You can either do that by clicking on settings here, or you can come to the top and you can click on them one by one. Now, since I have made this change right here for terms and conditions, before I move forward, I'm just going to click on Save Changes to save my changes. Once the changes have been saved, then one by one, I'm going to click on these links and I'm going to deactivate the payment methods I don't want and make sure that PayPal is activated, since that's the one I want. Of course, this is a personal decision related to your online store, so however you'd like to set up your store and whatever payment methods you'd prefer, you can select them and configure those options within these pages. So I'm going to turn this off, scroll to the bottom and save the changes. Then I'm going to go to the next one, the check one, and make sure that one is turned off. It looks like it's on, so I'm going to uncheck it there and click on Save Changes. Then I don't believe this one is active, but I'll check it anyway. Cash on delivery. Okay, that is not active, so that's good. Then I'm going to click on PayPal, and that one is enabled, so that is great. Here you can set the title and description for your PayPal page. Once again, hovering over this, it says this controls the title which the user sees during the checkout. Then you want to make sure that you add your PayPal email. This is really important. As we see here, it says, please enter your PayPal email address. This is needed in order to take payment. So you want to make sure that whatever your PayPal email is, you want to make sure that you add it here. Then scrolling down, you'll have both the shipping options as well as the advanced options within PayPal. Now, going back to the WooThemes site, back to that Configuring WooCommerce Settings page, here on the left-hand side, when I click on Checkout, since we're on the Checkout tab within our WordPress website, here we see there's a really great video on the checkout settings that you can check out. And when I scroll down to the bottom of this section here where it says payment gateways, here we can see there's a link that says learn more about the core payment options included in WooCommerce for free. That includes PayPal Standard. So I'm going to click on this link, and no worries, I'll be sure to drop the link down below so it's really easy for you to find it. And here we see the core payment options that come included with WooCommerce. So here we see PayPal Standard. I'm going to click on this link, and then we'll see all of the various settings within PayPal Standard in WooCommerce, starting with this awesome video right here that you can check out. On the left-hand side, you'll see all the various sections within the PayPal section of WooCommerce, including shipping options, advanced options, and the API credentials. So just click on each of these as you go, and you'll see exactly a lot more detail about shipping options and advanced options. Then scrolling down to the bottom of the page, we'll see here we have our API credentials. This is important if you'd like to process refunds via PayPal. So as it notes here, enter your PayPal API credentials to process refunds via PayPal. Here we need to add the API username, password, and signature. And it says learn how to access your PayPal API credentials here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link here that says here, which will bring us to the developer PayPal page with the step-by-step instructions to create your API credentials. Starting with, you want to log in to paypal.com, then you want to navigate to the API access page, and depending on what kind of interface you're using, either the classic PayPal user interface or the other one, there's two different interfaces. You can either click Tools and then go to Manage Your Business and API Access, or in my case, since I'm using the classic PayPal user interface, I'm going to go to My Account, Profile, and My Selling Tools. So to do that, I'm going to click on this link here to go to paypal.com. Keep in mind that you do need to have a business account. As it notes here, you must have a PayPal business account to make calls to the live PayPal servers. So you want to log into your business account on this page, paypal.com. So I'm going to click on this link. I have a PayPal business account. So once I log in, then I'm going to go to the top corner, hover over the account icon right here, click on that, and then I'm going to click on Profile and Settings. When I click on Profile and Settings, then I'll see on the left-hand side my profile. Then here on the My Selling Tools page, you'll see the API Access link. As it notes, manage API credentials to integrate my PayPal account with my online store or shopping cart, and there's a link here that says Update. I'm going to click on Update, which will bring us to the API permissions and credentials page. There's two options, option 1 and 2. I'm going to choose option 2, which says Request API credentials to create your own API username and password. Keep in mind that when we refer to the developer documentation on paypal.com, I'm simply following the steps that they've outlined here where it says creating classic API credentials. So I went to paypal.com, I navigated to the API access page, and now here we are to generate the certificate set and to request the API credentials. As it notes, we want to choose option number 2, and we want to click on this link that says request API credentials. So going back to my page here, I'm just going to click on this. Now I've already requested them, so because I've already requested them, I have this link instead that says View API Signature. However, if you're doing this for the first time, most likely you see the link that says Request API Credentials. So whichever one you see, Request API Credentials or View API Signature, this is the link that you want. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to grab the API username, password, and signature by clicking on Show, and then clicking on Done. Then once you copy the API credentials, you want to go back to your WordPress website, go to the PayPal page, scroll to the bottom, and you want to add the API username, password, and signature in these fields here, and click on Save Changes to save your changes. So those are the main settings to set up PayPal Standard for your checkout options. If you'd like to learn more about PayPal Standard, once again, be sure to check out the documentation on woothemes.com, and I'll be sure to drop a link down below so you can easily get to this page. Next up, let's change our settings for the shipping options. So going back to our website at the top, I'm going to click on Shipping, and here on the Shipping Options page, we can see we have a number of different shipping options we can include. We have flat rate shipping, international delivery, free shipping, local delivery, and local pickup. So depending on what kind of shipping you want to set up, you can do that right here. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to be creating a e-commerce website with free shipping. So I'm just going to scroll to the bottom here. And here under shipping methods, we can see that here free shipping has been enabled. When I hover over the question mark, it says enabled. Now, to make it a little bit easier to see, I'm just going to drag this to the top here so that free shipping is the first one, since that's what I want. Then I'm going to click on Save Changes. This just makes it easier to see. Now, to go directly to the free shipping page, you can either click on this link here, free shipping, or coming down to the bottom here, you can go to free shipping and click on settings. I'm going to click on settings right here, and then we can see all the different settings within the free shipping page. So everything looks good. I'm going to sell to all countries, method availability, so I'll leave it like that. Everything is set up, so I am ready to go. Now, if you have some specific shipping requirements, I know many questions I've received from a lot of you, you have really specific shipping needs. So you can read more about shipping and find the shipping that works best for you by going to, once again, the documentation at woothemes.com. This is really awesome info here. You just want to go to the Configuring WooCommerce Settings page, go to the shipping one, number 5. I'm going to click on that. It'll bring you right to the section related to shipping. You can read all about this, and I also want to point out one more thing. When you scroll down, here it says WooCommerce Shipping Documentation, and this is more detail about shipping. So I'm going to click on this just to show you really quick. You can see here you can read about the core shipping options that come included with the WooCommerce plugin. And one other thing that I want to mention, because I get questions about this all the time, there's an extension here for specific shipping needs. If you have specific dimensions or weights that you need, or different currencies or all that stuff, if you have specific advanced shipping needs, you can check out the extension called Table Rate Shipping. So you just want to go to the top, WooCommerce, click on Extensions, and then here in the search box for WooCommerce extensions, you want to do a search for Table Rate Shipping. This is a premium extension, but it will really help you out if you have advanced shipping requirements. As we see here, when I click on this Table Rate Shipping, we can see that it makes it possible for you to create complex rules for shipping your products all over the world. You can define multiple rates based on the product's destination. You can have multiple rates per zone. You can add rules based on product weight, number of items, shipping class, and price. So this is a really helpful extension for some of you who have advanced shipping needs. If you have simple shipping needs though, and you can stay within the confines of these shipping options that come built in within WooCommerce, then you're good to go. In this particular instance, for example, I'm just going to leave it as free shipping, leave it like that, and then I'm going to move on to accounts by clicking on accounts. Here on the accounts page, as it notes at the top, these pages need to be set up so WooCommerce knows where to send your users to access account-related functionality. Now, when you installed WooCommerce and created those pages for WooCommerce at the very beginning of this video, all of these pages were already created. So if you followed along, then you won't need to, hopefully, make any changes on this page. Here where it says My Account page, you should just have this link, this page right here that says My Account. We can see when I click on it, there's all these other pages to choose from, but by default, I'm just going to leave it set up as a default, which says My Account. All the other account endpoint defaults, I'm going to leave those set up as they are. I'm not going to change anything. Here you can see there's registration options. I get a lot of questions about how to enable registration of users, so you can select which works best for you. I'm going to leave all the defaults here and just click on Save Changes to save my changes. Finally, last but not least, when I click on the Emails tab, here we can find the email settings and email templates to edit within our WooCommerce website. Once again, one of the great things about the WooCommerce plugin is that the default settings are set up so that you really don't need to make any changes. But if you would like to customize them, this is where you can do it. Here, for example, if you want to add a header image of your logo or something related to your brand, you can upload an image right here by clicking on the Media Uploader. Then down below, you can change the email footer text by just adjusting that right here. And if you'd like to change the colors of the email templates to match your brand, you can do so right here. Once you made your changes, go ahead and click on this button that says Save Changes. To review the different templates and see what's going to be going out to your customers, you can click on each of these different links and you can see the message that's going to be sent. Once again, I prefer just leaving the default, so I'm not going to change anything. I just wanted to point it out in the event you want to customize your message. So that covers the settings within the WooCommerce plugin. Once you have all the settings set up within WooCommerce, you are ready to go. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for following along, and congratulations, because looking at our homepage, your website should look something like this. Here at the top, you'll have your logo or your title. Then you should have your menu navigation area and then your tagline, followed by on the homepage a various array of sections. In this video, we added our product categories, then we added our featured products, our on-sale products, and then at the very bottom we have our footer section with customizable content. Now behind the scenes, I just checked out this homepage and I was like, wait a minute, we don't have our actual prices here. We have our original price and it's crossed out because it's on sale, so that's good, but the new price is not showing up. So I'm just going to cut to the chase and show you how to fix that, because of course we want to make sure that we have our sale price being displayed. So let's just fix that really quick by going up to the top, clicking on dashboard. We need to make a change to the custom code we added earlier in this video. So I'm going to go down to appearance, hover over appearance, and click on editor. Then here we see we're on our child theme style sheet. We created a child theme earlier in this video. I'm going to scroll to the very bottom, and here you see this code right here, mark, comma, INS. When we, earlier in this video, removed the number next to the product category, we inadvertently, accidentally also removed the sale price. So we want to restore the sale price. It's a very simple fix. All we need to do is remove this section, the comma, the space, and INS. Just delete that so that it simply just says mark, space, and a bracket, display none, and a closing bracket, just like that. And then we want to click on Update File to update the file. Now, when we go back to the home page by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site, now we'll see that we have our product categories. The number here is still not displayed because if you recall earlier in the video, I wanted to keep a very clean look and not have a number next to each of these different categories. I just wanted the title, so we have that. That's good. Then now scrolling down, now we can see our sale price, which is perfect. We have the original price, it's struck through, and we have the new sale price. So let's take a look at one of these different products. When I go to the product category here, I'm going to click on this one. For smoothies, this will bring us to the smoothie product category, and then I can check it out by just clicking on this thumbnail image right here. And now we see we have the product page. So we have our beautiful product image, which when I click on it, it opens up into a really cool lightbox display. Then we have our product title. We see it's on sale. We see the original price and the new sale price. And then also, because we had created variations for this product, we can see when I click in this box here, there's all these different variations I can choose. So then just below that, we have the product description, any additional information about this, and then if anyone wants to leave a review related to this product, they can do so by adding a review right here. Okay, so let's go through the process of actually adding a product to our cart and checking out. If I want to order this, for example, I'm going to come down here, I'm going to click on Add to Cart. Then we'll get a message, this product was successfully added to your cart. You can view cart by clicking on this link here or at the top here. You can see when I hover over this, you have a really cool drop-down box with a thumbnail image that also gives me a way to view the cart or directly to check out. So I'm going to click on this link here that says View Cart to go to the cart page. And on the cart page, you'll have your title, your description, the price, the quantity, and then the final price right here. If you have a coupon, you can add that in right here. And then here we can see when I scroll down, we have the cart totals, review the different contents, details of the order. Then we can check out by clicking on Proceed to Checkout. Once you click on Proceed to Checkout, it'll bring you to the checkout page, and here on the left-hand side you can add your billing details. On the right-hand side you can review the details of your order. Now scrolling down, if the ship to address is different from the billing address, then you can just fill out this information as well. I'm going to keep the two addresses the same, so I'm going to unselect that by just unselecting it, and now the billing address and the shipping address will be the same. On the right-hand side, you just want to scroll down, review the details of the order. If there's a terms and conditions box, then you just want to read the terms and conditions, and then once you've read and accept them, you can click on this box right here. Then you also need to check this radio button here for PayPal. As a note, when you click on that button, it says pay via PayPal. You can pay with your credit card if you don't have a PayPal account. So once you click that, then just go ahead and click on this button that says proceed to PayPal. To proceed to PayPal. From there, your customer can pay for the product by logging into PayPal and paying via PayPal, or as mentioned, they can simply pay with their credit card. Okay, so back on the homepage, we have one last thing I forgot that we haven't done, and that is to create some blog posts. So when I go to the homepage and I click on blog, here we have our blog archive page, and we have the default blog post that comes with our WordPress installation, which we need to delete, and we need to create a blog post. So to create a blog post, as we created a page, you just want to go up to the top, hover over plus new, and click on post, or you can go to dashboard, click on dashboard, go down on the left-hand side to post, hover over post, and click on add new. Here on the Add New Post page, the first thing we need to do is give our new post a title. So I'm going to pop in a title right there. And then here in this white box, we can add the content for a blog post. There's two tabs, a visual tab and a text tab. The visual tab, once again, as mentioned previously in this video, is the visual view. This is a much easier what you see is what you get view for your blog post. And the text tab will give you the behind the scenes code that WordPress is generating to format the content for the blog post. So I prefer the visual tab, so I'm going to leave it like that. Here I'm going to add an image as well as some text. Starting with the text, so I'm just going to drop some text right here in this white box, and I also want to add an image, so I'm going to place the cursor before where I want the image to be displayed. So here I have the image, I want it to be displayed to the left of these words right here, so I'll just place the cursor there, then click on Add Media. You can either upload a new file or you can use an existing image from your media library. So I'm just going to use an existing image, so I'm just going to scroll down here and choose this particular image right here. On the right hand side we see the attachment details, that all looks good. Here where it says attachment display settings, I want this to be aligned on the right hand side. We'll do right hand side. I want it to link to nothing, so I'll just click on none, and then here for the size you can choose whatever size you would like. I'll choose a medium size, and then I'm just going to click on this button here to insert this into the post. Once image and text have been added, then on the right hand side I'm going to choose a category, and here I'm just going to add a new category by clicking on Add New Category. Then I'll just call this Recipes, add recipes in there, and then once again to create the category I'm going to click on the button one more time that says Add New Category. If you'd like to give your post some tags, you can do so right here, so I'll just add some tags, keeping in mind that each tag needs to be separated by a comma. Once you have your tags added, then you can click on this button here to add the tags to the post. Then scrolling down, here we have the magic action box. I want this to be displayed underneath the blog post. So here I'm going to select the one I want. I'll choose this one, the sign up one, and then everything else looks good. So we are good to go on our blog post. Last step, we need to publish the post by clicking on this publish button here on the right hand side. Once a blog post has been published, we can check it out by clicking on this link here that says View Post, or we can click on this button in the middle that says View Post. I'm going to click on View Post. Let's go ahead and check it out. And here we have our single post for our blog. So it looks good. We have our title, the published date, the author, then we have the text of the post, our smaller image, and then scrolling down we have our email opt-in form, sharing features, and the comments where anyone can drop a comment related to this post. So that is how you create blog posts for your e-commerce WordPress website using the storefront theme. Back on the homepage of our e-commerce WordPress website, you'll notice that we still have to also add the email opt-in form to the top of our page. At the beginning of this video tutorial, I had shown you that by the end of this video, we were also going to add this email opt-in form bar so that we can capture leads directly from our website. So this is the last step to complete our e-commerce WordPress website using the storefront theme. The good news is that I've already created a video showing how to set this up, so I'm going to refer you to my YouTube channel, specifically to this video called Gain Sales and Subscribers with the HelloBar WordPress plugin. And in this video I show you step by step from scratch how to completely install and set up the HelloBar WordPress plugin so that once you're done watching this video, you'll have an email opt-in form at the top of your website that looks just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and add this HelloBar plugin to my website behind the scenes, and I'll meet you on the other side. So here we are back on the homepage of my e-commerce WordPress website, and I just finished adding the HelloBar plugin to my website, following the steps in my previous video on my YouTube channel. Here we can see the HelloBar plugin displaying at the top of our website, which gives us a really easy way to start capturing leads directly from our site, front and center on our homepage. So that wraps up the last feature that I wanted to add to my e-commerce website. If you followed along this far, thank you so much for joining me and staying with me, and congratulations, because you should have an e-commerce WordPress website that looks something like this. Before we go, I want to give a quick shout out of thanks to the team at Woo Themes for making this beautiful minimalist e-commerce website theme available to all of us in the WordPress community for free. This is a really lovely and free e-commerce theme. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll come out with another video very soon, so please feel free to leave a comment below, like and share this video with your friends, and of course, please subscribe to my YouTube channel to get updates on upcoming videos. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your new e-commerce WordPress website using the storefront theme, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, I hope you have a great week and continue learning new skills that help you to build your business on the web.